doubt you if you let him. Like, who's to tell you that the Most High ain't gonna forgive you for what you done did? And that's another thing where we overstep the boundaries of doing his job. How can we do his job and we ain't done our job? It don't make no sense. So as I think as brothers and sisters, Ox and Akwas, we should be more encouraging to each other. Friendships and marriages as well. You can tell somebody, oh, don't do this, don't do that. Oh, I leave them. But then again, you in the same situation and you burn it. If you know the weed, don't tear you apart. So be careful what you say, can be slide in the dark. A wise man slow to speak, but he still will at heart. A wise man slow to anger, refrain from dark. Now, I don't want no Grammy, now I got kingdom in heart. Now, I don't lie so much times I got holes in my heart. And I done cried so much times I get headaches from coughs. And I done died so much times I perish at the thought. Pride is a way of evil, don't settle for sin. So put your pride to the side and it's going to win. So keep your eyes on the prize, you gon' show it again. So keep your eyes on the side, you can surf through the sin. Everybody doubted you, they gon' cheer when you win. Everybody shot at you, they gon' cheer for the win. Everybody laughed at you, you was running from sin. Everybody doubted you, they ain't trusting a friend. Everybody young and dumb, but who changing their life? Everybody put in work, but who sacrifice? Everybody waking up, but who living their life? If you ain't rocking with the God, you ain't living it right. Oh, you ain't living it right. If you ain't rocking with your hoe, ain't living it right. If you ain't rocking with the God, ain't living it right. If you ain't rocking with your God, ain't living it right. Oh, yeah. If you not a weed, he gon' tear you apart. So be careful what you say, can be slide in the dark. A wise man slow to speak, but he still will at heart. A wise man slow to anger, refraining from dark. I don't want no Grammy, now I got kingdom at heart. I don't lie so much times, I got holes in my heart. And I done cried so much times, I get headaches from coughs. And I done died so much times, I perish at the thought. I'm a young man, now I'm a young king, and I got big dreams. The kingdom on me, the kingdom is within, cause I'm so golden. The spirit is within, the Ruah on me, the Ruah on me. Now I'm a free brew, I say I'm set apart, my mind is set apart, my people set apart, his people set apart. The evil's in the dark, the lighthouse in the dark. If you're not a weed, they gon' tear you apart. So be careful what you say, can be light in the dark. A wise man so to speak, but he still in the heart. A wise man so to anger, refrain from dark. I don't want no Grammy now, I got kingdom in heart. I done lied so much times, I got holes in my heart. I done cried so much times, I get headaches and coughs. And I done died so much times, I perish at the thought. Yeah. Oh.
All right, shalom, shalom, family, Shabbat shalom, everyone, Shabbat shalom. Welcome back to the channel. And we have a treat in store for you all today. I'm gonna go ahead and let my brothers introduce themselves, and we're gonna go ahead and get started.
Shalom, everybody. I hope everyone's having a good, blessed day. I just pray that this lesson that we bring out today will be very edifying and eye-opening for our people back in the continent and for those in the diaspora.
Salam, everybody. Happy Samba. Same here. Hoping today will be edifying. Like the brother said, we got an edifying treat for y'all today. Share this video, get it around Instagram, Facebook, wherever else. So
like the brother said, y'all, make sure you all go ahead and subscribe and everything. Continue to support us as we continue to grow this channel. So as you can tell by the title today, we will be getting to Dispersal of Israel in Africa. This will be part 2, continuing to bring out different tribes and different information on these peoples. So before we go ahead and get started, I'm gonna see if there's anything else anyone would like to say. Do anybody want to say anything else before we get started?
Just use this video as a reference. It's going to be a lot of heavy information. Stop, pause the video. If you got any questions about any of the information we're bringing out, just ask it in the comment section. If you got us on Instagram, surely DM us. We'll be able to get that information to you.
Indeed, indeed. So we're going to go ahead and get started today, family. Sit tight. Go ahead and get your notes ready. Get ready and get into the scripture as well, because we do have a lot to get into. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to start it off today. All right. Is everything good on my end? Can you all see everything?
Yeah, you good.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started into it. And today we'll mainly be covering Bantu tribes. Majority will be all the tribes we'll be covering today, even the tribes within West Africa. So to get started with that, we're going to get a brief overview on the Bantu tribes. And we're going to this book, Origin of the Bantu. It lets us know that we have to look outside of Africa for the origin of the Bantu race, which is important because, we do have the traditions and the stories of being Israelites. So we will have to look outside for that origin. It says, in trying to solve the problem, we are necessarily thrown back upon the resources of comparative physiology and to a small extent upon the somewhat dangerous principles of comparative religion. All other resources are closed to us. The Bantu knew no other art than the making of pottery and the plaiting of mats. Several of the tribes, but not all, were acquainted with the art of melting iron, ore, and hammering the hot iron into weapons and implements. And the important thing about this is the Bantus are known to be an iron smelting people. And the thing about iron melting and smelting is that you can't just pick up and learn this tradition out of nowhere. You can't just pick up one day or wake up one day and say, hey, I want to start learning how to make iron, or I want to make iron. This is something that's passed down orally and into people's cultures. And when we look at it, a lot of the Hamitic peoples or a lot of the Native African peoples didn't deal with metal or things, did not deal with iron. And this was actually brought into Africa during the Bantu expansion. But it says, it may be that some of the tribes which arrived in Africa at a later period were acquainted with the art of weaving a rough cloth, but the evidence upon the point is not quite conceiving. The Bantu, having left no buildings behind them, for the huts they live in were but frail fabrics. The antiquary will thus find a little scope for his science in Africa, south of Egypt and Libya. Still less does the historian. Everything before 1500 AD is practically an absolute blank as far as the history of the Bantu is concerned. All right. And that's because these people have been migrating into Africa for a while. And it says, and the few data we have in Arabic writers about the Zanji do not throw much light upon their history. Continuing on to the highlighted section right here, it mentions off that in Africa, the Bantu became not the slave of the indigenous races, but the conquerors, and that they evidently from a very early date. All right. And that's exactly why the migration of these peoples are called the Bantu expansion, because they came into Africa, they expanded, they took slaves of the indigenous races, they took a lot of their women, and they basically conquered them. It says, but notwithstanding the fact that the Bantu languages did absorb some part of the vocabulary of the languages of other races. In West Bantu, we can clearly trace the influence of the true Negro languages. In Central Bantu, that of the Nilotic and Maasai languages. In the Southern Bantu dialects, we meet the cliques of the Hottentots, who, though not indigenous to Africa, evidently reached that continent long before the Bantu did. And even in East Africa along the coast, there is a strong Semitic element, principally due to the Arabian influence. In Mosana, there is another Semitic element, which is, however, of far older origin and must without the slightest doubt be referred to Assyrian. So you even have Assyrian element within a Bantu dialect, and the only way they can, guess you can say, get this influence or influence within their dialect is to be around Assyrian speaking peoples themselves. All right, and this even goes into what he says next right here, where he says, considering therefore the presence of a distinct Assyrian, or rather Babylonian element in several Bantu dialects, we are entitled to come to the conclusion that the Sumerian Babylonian influence on the Bantu must have proceeded directly from the mouths of the Tigris and the Euphrates, and that by means of an immigration from that part of Asia. So we know during the times of the Assyrian Babylonian captivities, there were Israelites within this location between the Tigris and the Euphrates, and we also see the Assyrian dialect within the Bantu language. So this is really hinting towards a migration from either the Assyrian captivity or the Babylonian captivity into Africa. Now, continuing on real quick to ritual male circumcision, a brief history. We're going to start right at the top. It says in 1498, Martin Alfonso, who had lived in West Africa, spoke of its languages. And he met a man near the mouth of the Limpopo River in East Africa. This man had spent years traversing Africa from east to west and found that he could understand his language. This body of people, made up from migrants from Arabia, the Middle East, and some from West Africa, moved south to become today's Bantu people. All right, so the Bantu people are made up of people from Arabia, people coming in from the Middle East, and also people coming in from West Africa. And we know there was Israelites in Arabia. Of course, we know there was Israelites coming in from the Middle East and also the western parts of Africa. And it says the predominant racial group in Southern Africa today, composed of many tribes, each practicing ritual circumcision. The Bantu soon overcame the indigenous peoples. The hero of today's Zimbabwe and Botswana, and the Hottentots and Bushmen of today's Namibia, Botswana, and Kalahari Desert, and to this day, in the tales of songs, speak of their origins, coming by boat from distant lands far to the north, of meeting black people from the west and Arabs from the coast. It goes on to say one tribe in particular, the Limba, further claim that they are true Jews who originally came from Senna, 1,000 miles, or originally came from a city thousands of miles away called Senna. And I'm going to skip this because we know a lot about the Limba already. But it goes on to mention somebody or some other interesting tribes, which the brothers are going to go deeper into. It says the author's interest in this subject was, in fact, first kindled many years ago while it's working with the Bantu, first in Zululand, then further south in the Transic, in the South Africa. Like many before and since, I was fascinated not only by the significance of the male like many before and since, I was fascinated not only by the significance the Bantu attached to male circumcision, but many other similarities with the Jews. So not only did they share circumcision, but they share many other similarities with the Jews. And this is talking about Bantus, period. As long as 1831, the Glauski Missionary Society asked its agents to search the Amahosa, one of the largest Bantu tribes in Southern Africa, comparing their culture and traditions with those of the ancient Israelites. As a result, one missionary wrote an essay entitled The Antiquity of Circumcision, but no trace of it can be found today. All right. And let's see. We're going to go over here where it says this last part right here in the highlighted section. It says the indigenous peoples did not practice circumcision. All right. So this is how we really can split the difference between Ham and Shem. We know that a lot of Semitic peoples or a lot of Semitic tribes and customs, they did do circumcision opposed to Ham's descendants, not really dealing with circumcision. And like this says, it was reflected. It says the indigenous peoples did not practice circumcision, nor did they subsequently adopt it from the Bantu, but continue with their own initial ceremonies. To this day, for both Zulu and Xhosa boys, circumcision is a rite of passage into manhood, as well as a trial of bravery and a blood sacrifice, their blood being daubed on their foreheads. The Xhosa youth are painted head to foot with whitewash, permitted only a thin blanket to wear, whatever the time of the year. And we know that's dealing with ashes and sackcloth, and camouflage themselves in straw skirt and headdress so that they are not identifiable. And this is the last source right here, and I'm gonna wrap it up with this. This is coming from the supplementary materials from this genetic study called Paleocene North African Genomes Linked Near Easterners and Sub-Saharan African Human Populations. Now, I just read a few sources letting us know that we have to look outside of Africa for the origin of the Bantu, how they have Assyrian links, how they possibly migrated from that location, and even how they're made up of migrants from the Middle East and Arabia. This right here solidifies it from the genetic standpoint, because right here it says a more recent link is the spread of Bronze Age like Levant ancestry in sub-Saharan Africa, together with agriculture during the Bantu expansion. Again, a more recent link is the spread of Bronze Age Levant-like ancestry in sub-Saharan Africa, together with the agriculture expansion during the Bantu expansion. All right, so when the Bantus actually started to migrate from North Africa, they had Levant-like ancestry, meaning they would have been coming from that location. All right, and I pass it over to my brothers out for that one.
Facts. That was beautiful. That was real beautiful,
Yeah,
bro.
beautiful, man. And I'm gonna tap in on a lot, but when you was, I was reading about the Zulus, outside of the highlighted parts. So it was a couple of things in there. I'm glad you brought out though. So yeah.
Yeah, that was deep. What
All
what I'm about
praises, all praises.
what I'm about to bring out now, I'm just gonna cover our people in the Congo. So I'm about to share my screen, and yeah, we're gonna get this one going. All right. Can y'all see that?
Yes, you all good.
Yeah, you good.
All praises, bet. All right, so let me go ahead and hide this bar right here. All right, so again, I'm gonna be covering the our people in the Congo. People in the Congo, they got a rich history when it comes to Hebrew traditions, when it comes to language, culture, customs. Um, this was well known. Well, let's just get this started. The Kingdom of Congo. The Congo is rich with Hebrew traditions, language, customs. This is well known among European travelers who went to the Congo to study the people. The Luba people, for example, the least documented but largest area in the Congo, was once known as the Luba Empire. Among the Luba people, you have the Baluba people. After visiting and studying the Baluba people, famed British historian Arthur had to say this about the Baluba people. His name was Tudor Parfit, and he wrote this in Jews of Ethiopia. He said, quote, one of the greatest tribes of Central Africa, the Baluba, who are of undoubted Semitic origin. The name Baluba means the lost tribe, and their language and custom having many Hebrew affinities. Their name for an idea of the Most High, God, their word for water and people, and many other words and ideas show their Semitic strain. And so what I'm about to do, I'm about to play a clip that compares the Hebrew words with the Baluba dialect. So I'm going to play this real quick.
Words and compare it with the Baluba Chaluba dialect and see if they line up. Abba in Hebrew, meaning father, and Chaluba, Abe. Yah, the name of the God of the Bible. Yah, and Chaluba. Bet, meaning house or people. Betu, and Chaluba. Todah, meaning thanks in Hebrew. Tanda, and Chaluba. Matthew, or in Hebrew, Mati Yahu. And Chaluba, Mateya. Jacob, which is Yaakov in Hebrew. Yakuba, and Chiloba. Sarah, in Hebrew, which is Sarai, and Chiloba, Salah. Cadmiel, in Hebrew, Kadima, and Chiloba. John, which is Yehukanan, in Hebrew, and Chaluba, Yokana. Malachi, in Hebrew, in Chaluba, Maleki. Noah, which is Noach, in Hebrew, in Chaluba, Noka. Korath, in Hebrew, which means to cut, in Chaluba, Kata. Cain, in Hebrew, in Chaluba, Kaina. Amos, in Hebrew, Mosi, in Chaluba. Moses, or Moshe, in Hebrew. Masa, or Mosa, in Chaluba. Mayim, meaning water, in Hebrew. Mai, in Chaluba. Samuel, in Hebrew. In Samsule, in Chaluba. Shem, in Hebrew. In Simo, in Chaluba. Job, or Job, in Hebrew. Yoba, in Chaluba. Zechariah, in Chaluba. Zechariah. Shiloh, in Hebrew. Shiloh, in Chaluba. Eli, in Hebrew. Ele, in Chaluba. Shabbat, in Hebrew. Samba, in Chaluba. Shabbat is the Sabbath, or the day of worship. That's on the seventh day. And Samba, in Chaluba, means seven in prayer.
All right. So we see the similarities when it comes to the Chuluba dialect and the Hebrew words. The Bantu language itself has Hebrew origin. You got to ask yourself where these white Jewish people learn quote unquote Hebrew. That's why they're always coming into Africa to study our people and the language. The the real Hebrew word can be found in the Bantu languages. The word Chaluba itself is Hebrew. First Chronicles 2:3-9. Chaluba goes back to the house of Judah. Again, First Chronicles 2:3-9. The sons of Judah, and Onan, and Shelah, which three were born unto him, of the daughter of Shua the Canaanitess. And the firstborn of Judah, was evil in the sight of the Most High, and he slew him. And Tamar, his daughter-in-law, bare him Perez, and Zerah. All the sons of Judah were five. The sons of Perez was Hezron and Hamul. The son also of Hezron, that were born unto him, Jeriamel, and Ram, and Chaluba. Chaluba you can find in the Bible. Israelite. Goes back to Judah. Even the fake Jews knows that the Luba people are the biblical and true Jews of the Bible. They know they go back to the house of Judah. One Jewish organization had this to say in the article concerning the Luba people. And it says, quote, according to Kabuka, one of the leaders of the Jewish community, members of the Luba tribe are the Jews of the Congo. Though it is the largest tribe and millions of the Luba people are aware of their Jewish roots, most feel disconnected and fearful of diving into their own heritage. The religious environment here in the Congo is not very open to anything other than Christianity, and so they feel trapped. It's crazy. Even Bakongo has Hebrew origin. Ba, which is bar, means sons, and Congo, which in Hebrew is Kagor, means girdle. You put this together, and it's the girdle sons of the Congo. And we can find this in Exodus 29, 5 through 6. And thou shalt take the garment and put upon Aaron the coat and the robe of the ephod and the breastplate, and gird him with the curious girdle of the ephod. And thou shalt put the mitre upon his head, and put the holy crown upon the mitre. Mitre, this is what a mitre would look like. And even the people in Ghana, the Ashan people, they have this attire as well. And this is actually from a chief in Ghana of the Ashan people wearing a mitre that goes back to scriptures. When we look at the Hebrew word in the Strongs, it's when we look up mitre, it says official turban of a king or high priest, diadem mitre, turban of high priest. When we look into the word kagor, it's spelled Khagore, kangor, means a belt for the waist, apron, armor, girdle. Kagor, this is important because when you trace back the ethnographic origin of this word in forebears.com, the last name Kagor is found the most in sub-Saharan Africa, specifically in Zimbabwe. And we can look at the source itself. You can find the word Kagor mostly in Zimbabwe. There's actually a tribe in the Congo that come from the Zimbabwe called the Limba. They have been heavily documented as Hebrews, specifically priests. And this is a quote from the Jewish World Congress. It says, quote, members of the priestly clan of the Limba, the Buba, which is one of the 12 tribes, have a genetic element also found among the Jewish priestly line known as the Kohanim or priests. Some believe that the word Lemba comes from the Bantu word Lembi, meaning non-African or respected foreigner. Others think it comes from the word Chilimba, which is a Swahili word for turban that was worn. That's important because, again, once we go back to Exodus 29, 5 through 6, and it says, and thou shalt take the garments and put upon Aaron the coat and the robe of the ephod and the breastplate, and gird him with the curious girdle of the ephod, and thou shalt put the mitre or turban upon his head, and put the holy crown upon the mitre. Curious girdle, holy mitre. When we look at that word mitre again, turban of the high priest of a king or high priest, Strong's H4701, mitre. And then for the breastplate, this breastplate is seen being worn by Ashanti chief. Ashanti can be found in the Bible going back to the word Ashan, which means smoke, and city in Judah. So the one thing that I found that is very interesting is that when we look at the house of Judah or this Judah southern kingdom, we see a lot of priestly attires that's being worn among these tribes that goes back to Judah or just to the southern kingdom alone. We see that in the word Bakongo itself. The word Bakongo means Kongor, which means girdle sons. We see that that word goes back to the priestly attire that we read in Exodus. And so, you know, why is all this important? It's because our people who were taken from Africa during the Atlantic and Arab slave trade came from these tribes. We come from Hebrew tribes in Africa. That's why our oppressors went to great lengths to erase your name, your language, and culture. All these elements point to where you come from and who you are. They try to separate Africa from you. In order to come back to your roots, you have to look towards home, to the very soil they took your ancestors from. The Chiluba, the Lemba, the Igbos, the Ibibio, the Ashanti, the Akans, the Eves, the Yorubas, the Bassa, and many more tribes all have Hebrew origins, oral history to back it up, customs and traditions found in the Bible that they've been doing before the white man came and colonized them. And we come from these tribes and many other Hebrew tribes that only means we, the Bantu people of the diaspora, those whose ancestors were taken during the Atlantic slave trade, are without a doubt Hebrews, specifically of the seed of Jacob. So that's what I have to bring out about the Chaluba people again. And we see that they go back to Judah. In scriptures, it said that Judah will be scattered to the four corners of the earth. So we see remnants of Judah all throughout Africa. We also see a lot of northern kingdom as well scattered throughout Africa. This is a great witness to itself when it comes to Zephaniah 3:10, when it states, "Beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, the daughter of my dispersed shall bring my offering." So the word itself is speaking that his people are beyond the rivers of Ethiopia or Cush. And the information, the tribes that me and the brothers are bringing out, we're showing that Yah's people are, without a doubt, scattered throughout Africa. And then those that were taken from Africa in the diaspora goes back to these tribes that we bring out. So in order for us to truly understand who we are, we got to understand the people that we come from. That's the only way we can have a solid foundation and to truly understand the Bible, what is really saying, and to understand how the people live. And in order for us to really get close to the Most High, we got to come to the knowledge of ourselves first, because slavery did a number on our people to truly erase who we are, to separate us from our home and from our people, because they know that once we are united and we come together and to truly serve the Most High, that will put an end to their kingdom and their rule and issue in the coming of our Messiah. So that's what I got to say about the Limba, the Chaluba people, and our people in the Congo.
That was beautifully made out, brother. That was extremely good.
All praises, all praises.
Facts.
So now I'm up right now. I don't think I introduced myself earlier. My name is Tochuku Nadi. So yeah, I'll be bringing out 3 tribes in particular. First, and Will, if you could bring up the first slide. Today we're starting with the Ewe people. Ewe people of Ghana, Volta region, certain parts of Togo, and some can be found, and I believe southwestern Nigeria also. But the Ewe people, nonetheless, they have a very rich history when it comes pertaining to their culture and traditions. So yeah, we can keep it moving. All right, so this first source that I'm bringing out is from an African American Israelite woman, and she's from New York. Her name is Only Love Chika Austin. And this book is Prophetic Whirlwind, Uncovering the Black Biblical Destiny. And so what she said about the Ewe people, I'm just going to read what's highlighted right here. It says, I have deeply appreciated learning about the Ewe culture and people, though it should be noted that and I'm going to just read it in how it's said by the colonizer. It said, Ewe is not their correct name, but Ewe. And that's how they pronounce it. So to finish off, it says, in the landmark book called To the Hebrews, we learn, that was just to finish it off, but their name is pronounced Ewe, and it's not Ewe like a lot of people. And I know I'm actually learning it from, people who come from the Ewe tribe, and they kind of take offense to it. So it's probably, even though we see it written like this, it's said with like a V. And I know they kind of take offense to it. So it's this Ewe and not Ewe, because Ewe is a female sheep, and that's not what they are called by there. And we're gonna get into the next slide what Ewe actually is and what it means. So right here, she says that the Ewe people's oral and written history, language, and traditions all point to them being Hebrews, or more correctly called Ewe. So what she's saying is that their name literally means Hebrews. So even though the tribe is called Ewe, anyone who was a Hebrew would be an Ewe. So that's what their name is. It says the Ewe also lost millions to the transatlantic slave trade, and their descendants can be found across the world. Today, there is a movement among the Ewe and their diasporic brothers and sisters to recover their true name, their true faith, and unite under Yah. I am blessed to witness this movement and to have close friends who are leaders within it. Again, in order to understand the Ewe and their role in the Black biblical destiny, we must understand that modern Hebrew is close to, but not identical to, the Hebrew spoken by the ancient Hebrews, just how the brother Keffa brought out earlier. So the modern Hebrew is close to, but it's not identical to the ancient Paleo Hebrew, which is spoke by the Bantu and Niger Congo tribes, also dialects of it. All right, so we can keep it going. Oh, wait, actually stay right there. I'm going to read down to the last paragraph where it says in 2 Chronicles 7 and 14, it says, we read, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sins and I will heal their land. And these people are called by the Most High's name, as you can read right here. And I do recommend you get this book also, but you can keep it going. All right, so here's another book by a colonizer or a European man. And this book is called The Ewe People, A Study of the Ewe People in German Togo by Jacob Speyer. So what I'm going to highlight is just the first column in green. It says that the Ewe ethnic group settled on the slave coast of West Africa 3 to 4 centuries ago from the northeast, which is, they're talking about, of Africa. So they're coming from that region and settled between Mano and the Volta. All right, so I just wanted to highlight that with that to show that their migration pattern is coming from the northeast. Keep going. All right, so this would be page 19 of the same book. And I'm just going to read from the top and what it says. It says, concerning the eagle, Captain Kling detected that there are 3 different varieties and claimed that the same young ones developed into these varieties. Thus, it is not impossible that the eagle of Ewe land may even venture near little babies to carry them away. And the parable in which the eagle carries little children away may not be a total invention at all. Now, I'm going to explain that first. Okay, so it's talking about a parable amongst the Ewe people, and it speaks about an eagle carrying away little children. This is also can be found in the Bible. Before we get into that, I'm just going to read Isaiah 5 and 7 to establish a point before the parable. It says, for the vineyard of the Most High of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah his pleasant plant. And he looked for judgment, but behold, oppression, for righteousness, but behold, a cry. All right, so I just want to establish where it says that the men of Judah is his pleasant plant before we get into this parable. Now we can go ahead and get into it. All right, so bear with me real quick. So this is Ezekiel 17, starting at verse 1. It says, and the word of the Most High came unto me, saying, son of man, put forth a riddle and speak a parable unto the house of Israel. House of Israel right here will be considered the northern kingdom. It says, and say, thus said the Most High, a great eagle with great wings, long wing, full of feathers, which had diverse colors, came onto Lebanon and took the highest branch. So it took the branch. We're going to figure out who that is. Of the cedar, he cropped off the top of his young twigs and carried it into a land of traffic. He set it in a city of merchants. He took also of the seed of the land and planted it. All right. In a fruitful field, he placed it by great waters, and set it as a willow tree, and it grew, and it became a spreading vine, low stature, whose branches turned toward him, and the roots thereof were under him. So it became a vine, and brought forth branches, and shot forth sprigs. It says in verse 7, there was also another great eagle with great wings, and many feathers, and behold, this vine did bend her roots towards him, and shot forth her branches towards him, that he might water it by the furrows of her plantation. It was planted in good soil by great waters, that it might bring forth branches, that it might bear fruit, that it might be a goodly vine. Say thou, thus said the Most High, shall it prosper? Shall he not pull up the roots thereof, and cut off the fruit thereof, that it wither? It shall wither, and all the leaves of her springs, even without great power, or many people to pluck it by the roots thereof. Ye, behold, being planted, shall it prosper? Shall it not utterly wither? When the east wind touch it, it shall wither in the furrows where it grew. Moreover, the word of the Most High came unto me, saying, say now to the rebellious house. And we're not going to really get into it right now, but if you look at the first, let's just say 5 chapters of Ezekiel, it would establish who that rebellious house is. And that's what's highlighted in green. It's talking about the house of Israel, his audience that he's talking to. And he said, say now to the rebellious house, know ye not what these things mean? Tell them, behold, a king of Babylon has come to Jerusalem. That's important because we understand that Jerusalem as a city was inherited by southern kingdom tribes. So right now he's talking to the northern kingdom, and he's talking to them about the king of Babylon coming to Jerusalem and have taken people. And it says, and have taken the king thereof and the princes thereof, and led them with him to Babylon. So if you can go back to that parable for me on the previous slide. All right, so right here, it says, thus it is not impossible that the eagle of Eveland may even venture near little babies to carry them away. And the parable in which the eagle carries little children away may not be a total invention at all. That's what I wanted to establish, that even with their own parables and their cultural stories or folktales, however you want to call it, they still have the similarities as what's written in the Bible, and not just the Bible, but the Old Testament. So just wanted to establish that point. And again, that's Jacob Spyer's book, and y'all can go grab that on page 19, but you can keep going from there, brother. All right, so we're on page, I believe this is 26, and I wanted to read what's highlighted in the pink. So it says, their priests with whom they were living on bad terms remained, behold, and founded their own villages. So the priests founded their own villages, which they called Mawufe, or God's place, because God in the Ewe tongue is Mawu. All right, this is Ezra 2:70. It says, so the priests and the Levites and some of the people and the singers and the porters and all the Nethims dwelt in their cities. So the priests dwelt in their cities, then it's comma, and all Israel in their cities, because they had their own village, their own town. And that was what the priests stayed, just how it's said off. That's what the colonizer wrote about them. So yeah, just wanted to establish that the similarities between them having their own cities or their own villages where they dwell themselves, the priests. So yeah. All right. So this is page 43 of the same. I'm establishing right here what's highlighted in the brown. It says the various big and small idols made of clay or wood are mostly ugly figures. But this does not in any way prove that the artist or sculptor is totally incapable of producing anything better, for these figures conform directly to the concept of their spiritual occupants. All right, so you good. So we're gonna which I mean, anybody who knows anything about Israelite history or ways that they defy the Most High, they went into idolatry by serving idols. And we're going to get into that with this. And this is Deuteronomy 27 through 31. It says, "And the Most High shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whether the Most High shall lead you." And we already established that the Eves were took in the transatlantic slave trade, and also that they migrated from East Africa over into West to the slave coast, right? 28 states, "And there ye shall serve gods, the works of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. But if from thence thou shalt seek the Most High, thou shalt find him. And if thou shalt, and if thou seek him with all thy heart and with all thy soul, and when thou art in tribulation, and all these things are come upon thee, even in the latter days, if thou turn to the Most High and shall be obedient to his voice," as we established in the last one of the last slides with 2 Chronicles 17:4, which is below. "If my people who are called by my name humble themselves." So that's how you turn to the Most High, by humbling yourself. I'm gonna read verse 31. It says, "For the Most High is a merciful God. He will not forsake thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget thy covenants of thy fathers, which he sware unto them." And so that's just showing you the idolatry that they went in when they making idols with wood and stone and clay and all these things which cannot hear, eat, or smell. So yeah, we can keep it going from there. All right. And so right here we bring this back just to highlight that we're going to go into the marriage customs of the Ewe people. So we can go on to the next page. All right, so we're at the top of the page 44, and it says, "It is present with a specific set of demands which he has to satisfy with the parents or with another authority of the girl's family. Chief among these demands is manual labor, which is a key thing, and I didn't bring it out. But if anybody's familiar with Jacob and how he attained his wives, he attained his wives by manual labor, by serving Laban for first 7 years in the hopes to get Rachel, but get Leah. And then he served another 7 years to get what he came, and that was Rachel. It says this is followed by the payment of a definite amount of money, and I can't really see that word. It says to the bride and to the family of her father and her mother. All right. I'm going to read down to what's highlighted in the green. It says monogamy is the most original, theoretically recognized form of marriage among the Eves. However, this theory stands opposed to the practice, since chiefs and other wealthy men live polygamous lives. So it's saying that these people who have the funds, they have the means to take care of multiple women, they actually do have multiple wives. But just wanted to establish that. I'm just gonna tap and actually let's go to the next slide. Yeah. Oh, we didn't have, what was it? When there was a script for the other one, I believe. But no, we could yeah, we can just go to the next slide. All right. And so with this one right here, I'm gonna read what's highlighted in the pink. It says, "And there are some in this category of people, as should be expected, who have large number of magical objects at their disposal, but keep them secret, away from the public. They are the most feared men because they often work with strong poison, holy and secret. They are always out for quietly ending the life of anyone whom they dislike. For this purpose, they introduce poison into his drink, into his bowls and plates, yes, even into his fireplace where he cooks his food. They bury powerful objects like antelope horns, cowrie shells, use corn cobs, and similar things in his doorway, in the compound, or on the farm of the enemy. This is where it's important to highlight. It says, the people's anger know no mercy. When someone is caught practicing as a secret magician, he will be executed in the most gruesome manner. As you can see, I have Exodus 22:18 and Deuteronomy 18:10-2 that we're going to read. We're going to establish that this is biblical. And just to let you know, while this man Jacob Spyoff was observing the Eves for, I think it was over 30 years, he wasn't, even if he knew in his writings, it wasn't alluding to them being Israelites. These are just his observations. So he didn't have the narrative that they were Israelites. So we're going to read Exodus 22:18. It says, and thou shalt not suffer a witch to live, as we just read. Deuteronomy 18:10. There shall not be found among you one that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that uses divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Most High. And because of these abominations, the Most High doeth drive them out from before thee. So that's just establishing what we already see, that amongst the Eves, they don't suffer a witch to live, or someone who practice magic, and just how the Bible would say, the Torah. So we can move on. All right, and so we're going to get into the Kikiyus, and these are people of Kenya. So, all right, so we're going back to Only Chica Love Austin, and what she says about them, she says, was highlighted right here in the first. It says, there are Bantu groups such as the Kikiyu of Kenya, who many believe to be descendants of Levites. Now, before we move on, to establish, the Levites had dwellings amongst all the tribes. So when you see that, some may be Levites and some maybe, throughout West and Central Africa and South, understand that the Levites were amongst them all. But we're going to get into this other source, so we can go to it. All right. So I don't want to butcher the sister's name, but this lady right here is a descendant of the Kikiyu people. So she wrote a book about her own customs and traditions, but the book is titled Kikiyu Mystery Revealed, a Descendants of Asher, a Lost Tribe of Israel. So even with Only Chica Love Austin saying that they're Levites amongst the Kikiyus, we see that a Kikiyu woman herself speaks on how they descend from Asher, or at least some. So we can get into it. All right. So what I'm going to read is what's highlighted in the green. It says, most of the Kikiyu oral laws and traditions stem from the Mosaic and the Levitical. So we can see that it's a presence of the Leviticus priesthood being amongst them. All right. And from here we can, I guess I'll read what's highlighted in the red. It says, the Bible and Christianity were relatively new to our tribe, but these Hebrew practices were archaic, which means that they've been had these practices. These are not new for them, but the Bible, as in how it's given to us today in the form of religion, Christianity, were new to them. These practices of being who they are, that was ancient. So yeah, we can keep going after that. All right, so this is in the introduction, still in the preface. The other page was in the preface also. So right here, I'm going to read what's highlighted in the red. It says, so in this book, I will use the names Gikiyu and Kikiyu interchangeably. From Israel's tribal perspective, we are descendants from the tribe of Asher. This is out of her mouth. But in exile, we were named after the sycamore fig tree that was cut down during the Assyrian invasion of the northern kingdom. All right, and so we're going to get some scriptures on that. Okay. We're gonna get some scriptures on that a little later. So it says right here, I'm reading. What am I? Okay, I'm reading what's highlighted in the purple. it says there are also Kikiyu traditions and customs not found in the Old Testament, but which do appear in the New Testament. So the customs and traditions made, some of them are not found in the Old Testament, but rather they're highlighted in the New. Very mysterious in origin, but deeply rooted in the old Kikiyu culture, and are evidence that the King Messiah, appointed to raise all the tribes of Israel as prophesied by Isaiah, raised our ancestors in exile. So in exile, she's claiming that the Messiah, who was appointed, raised her ancestors. It says, the Most High servant was called to raise all 12 tribes of Israel, whether in Israel, promised land, Israel, or in exile. And we can see if that was his mission, then we have to understand that that was also his disciples' mission also, or apostles too. So yeah, we can move forward from there. And that was in preface 16 right there. All right. And so we're going to read what's highlighted right here in pink. It says, the Most High still preserved for himself a remnant. Kikiyu people exiled to the land beyond the rivers of Ethiopia humbled themselves, as we also see that Eves did, and chose to be called by the name of the sycamore fig that was cut down by the Assyrian invasion of the northern kingdom. They continued to rejoice and worship the Most High, power of Israel, even though the fig tree could not blossom, the flocks were cut off, and there was no tangible blessing. So we're going to actually get into the scripture that's listed below, and that's Habakkuk, if I said that right, chapter 3 and verse 17 and 18. All right. So it says, although the fig tree shall not blossom, neither shall fruit be in the vines, the labor of the olive shall fail, and the fields shall yield no meat. The flock shall be cut off from the fold, and there shall be no herd in the stalls. Yet I will rejoice in the Most High. I will joy in the power of my salvation. So, just to establish something, she said that the name Kikiyu will be known, will be after the sycamore fig tree, and that's talked about in the Bible. And this is what she's saying that her language goes into. But also to make note of why I highlighted the flock shall be cut off from the fold. We understand that if he's talking about flock, it's a flock of sheep. And with a flock of sheep, they need a shepherd. When the Messiah talks about the lost sheep, he's talking about it as him being a shepherd. And he says the lost sheep of the house of Israel. This is just points to them alluding in scripture and the claim that she's making that they are northern kingdom. So this is more claims to her being from the tribe of Asher, her and her people. So just wanted to highlight that, but we can move forward. All right. So this is chapter 2 of the same book. And I'm going to read from the top. I'm going to read it all, though. It says, in the Australian newspaper article, they mention how the tribal customs of the Kikiyu had strong resemblance to the Old Testament. The writer of the article mentioned the ancient Hebrew custom of the scapegoat, by which sin was transferred to the goat, which was driven out into the wilderness, which he has seen in the Kikiyu people. All right, and so we're going to get into that in a minute, but I'm going to keep reading. It says, as a remnant from the 10 lost tribes of Israel, they did not perform the feast of Israel in their entirety, but had some aspects of the feast hidden in their culture. For instance, during the Itikika, I can probably pronounce that right, process, where the leadership mantle was passed from one ruling generation to another, all the 7 major feasts of Israel were incorporated in it. Hosea prophesied that the Most High would cause the feast days, the new moons, Sabbaths, and appointed feasts to cease, but would keep some aspects of the feast as a door of hope to her restoration. So where the writer, the Australian writer, he wrote about it in the lost tribes found in the year 1922. But before we get into that, and we show that, we're going to get into the scriptures, because she mentioned that the feast days will be ceased. So that what she was referring to was Hosea 2:11. It says, "I will also cause all her mirth to cease, her feast days, her new moons, and her Sabbaths, and all of her solemn feasts." Amos 5:22 also states, I despise your feast days. I will not smell your solemn assemblies. Though ye offer me burnt offerings and your meat offerings, I will not accept them. Neither will I regard the peace offerings of your fat beasts. So, also before I move on, I want to establish something. Just talking about all the tribes of Israel that keep customs that maybe people kind of they naysay against because it's not the exact thing they're reading. Right here in the Bible, it shows that we were not going to be keeping it the same way. The lady right here, she says that, we may not keep it the same way how we did back then, because he calls them for feasts, but it's still aspects of those feasts found, and not just hers, but in all sub-Saharan Africa and all these Israelite tribes, some even in Americas, if we look in South America and stuff like that, and some in the islands. But just wanted to establish it doesn't have to be exactly the same as what we're looking at is remnants of what we find in the scriptures. And I mean, you can't get more close in similarity than the sub-Saharan African tribes. So we can keep it going. All right, so this was the article she was mentioning that was written in 1922. This link will be in the description box below, but you can see it right here on screen. And that is the article right there. And I'm just going to read what's highlighted. It says, Kikiyu, a race of natives who inhabit the regions around Nairobi, one of the lost tribes of Israel. So this is written in 1922 by an Australian man or woman. The Kikiyu bear a strong resemblance to those recorded in the Old Testament. Also says, I'm going to read the rest actually. It says, for example, they believe in the Most High and the resurrection of the soul, will not touch pork, and will not herd pigs or do no other unclean work. Also, they carry out the ancient Hebraic custom of the scapegoat, by which a goat, after having had transferred to it the sins of the people, is driven out into the wilderness. All right, so this is going into more Levitical practices, such as the one that's mentioned in Leviticus. It says, and Aaron shall bring, Leviticus 16:9. It says, and Aaron shall bring the goat upon which the Most High lots fell, and offer him for a sin offering. But the goat on which the lot fell to be the scapegoat shall be presented alive before the Most High, to make an atonement with him, and to let him go for a scapegoat into the wilderness. So it's showing you direct customs of what the Levitical priesthood, or the Levitical priesthood, the sons of Aaron, would have been doing. So only Chica Love's Austin claim has so far been valid. So yeah, we can keep going. All right, so now we're on to the Zulu of South Africa. And so to establish who the Zulus are, or where I would say some of them, at least some of them are, because we can find different tribes amongst them also, but we're going to highlight what the name suggests. So the Nguni people, I'm going to read from the top. It says, the Nguni people refers to a group of Bantu-speaking ethnic groups that reside in South Africa, with offshoots in neighboring countries in South and Southern Africa. Swazi people live in both South Africa and Eswatini, while Northern Ndebele people live in both South Africa as immigrants and Zimbabwe. A group of Nguni living in the present Malawi and Zambia originated in South Africa and are known as the Ngoni people. I'm going to actually skip down to what's highlighted in the yellow. It says in South Africa, the historic Nguni kingdom of the Ndebele, Swazi, Xhosa, and Zulu are in the present-day province of southern and eastern Cape Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal. And I wanted to just highlight that because when we read Genesis 46 and 24, it says, now the sons of Naphtali, like KwaZulu-Natal, Jezeel and Guni, and Jezer and Shimlon. So it's established that, and this is also confirmed by women that I know, or a woman that I know that is from the Zulu tribe, and she confirms that this is the case, but that doesn't mean that all of them are descendants of Naphtali. But as far as where the name comes from, it would come from the Naphtali, and Guni, the descendant of him. So we can go ahead and move forward. All right. So in this book, which is written by Thomas B. Jenkinson, it's called the Amazulu, the Zulus, their past history, manners, customs, and language. All right. So in the first page, I wanted to establish something here, and it's very interesting. So of course, this is a colonizer viewpoint of the Amazulu, or the Zulu people. It says, I do so in the hope that others younger, stronger, and better than I am may be induced to come and settle here as missionaries, which is South Africa, to the heathen, or as good colonists. So he's telling his people to come and settle in South Africa amongst the Zulus, the Hosas, and all the other tribes. And they should be missionaries to the heathen, which he's referring to the Zulus are heathens. Or they should be good colonists, just coming down there for that. So we get that in the first page that he's referring to the Amazulu as heathen. What's going to be interesting is how he's going to actually, in his ignorance, prove that they are Israelites. All right, so we can move on. All right, and so this is page 8 of the Amazulu book. It says, a winged ant swarms out of the ground about once a year after the rain, and after fitting about for a while, suddenly flings off its wings and creeps about. This strange creature is greedily devoured by all sorts of birds and poultry, and the little black children eat them as greedily as the fowls. So they're eating insects. Well, this could actually be found in our dietary laws. And this is Leviticus 11 and 22. It says, even these of them ye may eat, the locust after his kind. So that means locust and the kind after it, and the bald locust after his kind, and the beetle after his kind, and the grasshopper after his kind. This book actually goes to mention more about the grasshopper and the eating of, if you go get that book. But we can keep it going. All right, so this is page 18 of the same, and it says, language. The Zulu, says Bishop Calloway, it is highly elaborated language, much more so than the Hebrew, which in some respects it resembles. So right now he's saying that the language, the Bantu languages that the Zulus are speaking, they have similarities and resemblance to the modern Hebrew, which we already established is not the ancient Hebrew. So, but he's saying that the Amazulu's language resembles that of the modern Hebrew. All right, so we can keep going. This also establishes it. It says the strong point of the language is that the verb that is very slight changes is made to express so much as the branches of the Hebrew verb. So just still in the language of it, he's still comparing it to the Hebrew, and the ways that it's formatted and the ways, it comes about. So that was just another thing to show you the similarities. In his ignorance, he's proving that they have similarities, but calling them heathens. But go ahead. All right. So I'm going to read at the bottom that's highlighted. It says, they are polygamous, and the bridegroom pays a dowry of cattle to the father of the bride, as in old patriarchal times in Canaan and in Ireland. I don't know what he means by in Ireland, but in Canaan is what's highlighted, because we know that these are where the people descend from. So we can go into the next slide. All right. And so just to piggyback off the last point, it says chiefs among their wives to the royal hut, common men visit each house separate. If a chief's daughter be seduced, the offender must pay the whole dowry, as in Levitical law. So he's again calling them heathens, but referring to them and their customs to the Levitical law. That's very big. Whether the father give her in marriage or not, and this can also be found in the Bible. So this is Exodus 22:16. It says, if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. You should pay the dowry. If her father utterly refuses, just like it said, whether the father give her in marriage or not, it says to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry aversions. So that is exactly what's written here. This man is literally quoting the Bible, but he's calling them heathens. We can keep going. All right. So we have manners and customs on page 27. All right. I'm going to read what's highlighted in brown. It says, and the male captive in war is made a slave or bearer of burdens to the captor, and often becomes a freed man and one of the family. So he mentions Deuteronomy 20:11, which I expound on for context. And I read from verse 9. It says, and it shall be when the officers have made an end of speaking unto the people, that they shall make captains of the armies to lead the people. When thou comest nigh unto a city to fight against it, then proclaim peace unto it. And it shall be, if it make thee answer of peace and open unto thee, then it shall be that all the people that is found therein shall be tributaries, paying tribute unto thee, and they shall serve thee. And if it will make no peace with thee, but will make more war against thee, then thou shalt besiege it. So again, just taking captives. If you come up into a city or of people of war, if you're at war with somebody, you're taking them captives. And we see that they took the male captives here in the scriptures, as well as was documented by the colonizer. So we can keep it moving from there. All right, so we coming to almost the end of the Zulus. So I'm gonna read what's highlighted in the blue, and we're gonna move down to the gray. It says the result of the researchers of Bishop Calloway proved that these people have traditions of a creator, but that he is the unknown God to them. I always pronounce that word wrong, so I'm not gonna try it. Is no longer known. He also goes to quote again the words of St. Paul to the Ephesians and Lacedaemonians are strictly applicable to them, the Zulus, having no hope and without God in the world. Now, so he's mentioning Paul's letters, which he believes are to Gentiles, like non-Israelites. And he's saying that it applies to them. And it does, but not in the way he's seeing it. What's written in the gray, it says certain practices such as circumcision, dowry, aversion, fines for seduction, taken to wife a brother's widows, and feast of first fruits seem to indicate that at some remote period they had intercourse with the sons of Ishmael and Israel. So what he's claiming is because of all these customs, even though they're heathens, they may have mixed in amongst the Israelites and the Ishmaelites. And instead of giving them, the credit that they actually hold the customs of the Israelites because they are the Israelites, he just makes a claim that they had to come from some Shemitic people. All right, but this is Ephesians 2:11 and verse 12 also. It says, wherefore remember that ye, being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hand, that at that time you were without the Messiah, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel and strangers from the covenant of promise at that time, no hope and without God in the world. So right there, in his ignorance, he refers to this, and he's actually right. It is applicable to them, but it's because they are the Israelites, and it's not because they're heathens. And they were cut off as they established themselves from they established it themselves, because like I said, I know a woman personally who comes from that tribe and establishes they do have descendants of Naphtali, so we can see that they're Northern Kingdom Israelites. And as contextual can go in the New Testament, we can see that that's what the Messiah and most of the disciples and apostles are going out to. But yeah, we can go to the next page. This page is going to establish who he believes they to be in his ignorance. He says their present state, however, and past history seems to point to Ham as their progenitors. Not even, well, maybe not even a paragraph later, he goes to say, amongst their traditions, the Zulus, preserved by Bishop Calloway, is a distorted account of the dividing of the waters of the Red Sea for the people to pass through. So while you're saying they Ham, you're literally going back into their account with the Israelites. And if they pass through, we understand that the Egyptians, who are descendants of Ham, didn't pass through. So it really makes no sense. But it just shows you that these sources that we're using, they're not biased. And they're actually coming from people who may feel a different way, but in their ignorance, they prove the claim. And that's how the Most High works. So I think that was it, wasn't it?
Yep, brother, that's it.
All right, man.
Amazing,
Man.
amazing.
Yeah, that was beautiful, man.
Oh, goodness.
Yo, that was, I mean, and I wanted to just, and like last week or the last time we went into it, I wasn't at home. I wanted to go into these sources, and we got a bunch more that we're gonna touch down in, because it's a lot that we still discovering, but it's a lot that we still got to go. But yeah, man, those are the three tribes I was gonna do. The Eves, the Zulus, and the Kikiyus. Those of Kenya, South Africa, and Ghana. So yeah.
Facts. And like the brother said, there's definitely more tribes we can go to. Don't think we forgot about all you other Bantu tribes. Like for example, your Mesri people, your Kissy people. We ain't forgot about you.
Yeah,
We
War.
will to you. Right. We haven't forgot about none of you people, none of our tribes. So we'll continue to bring information out.
yeah.
Right.
Like the breakdowns we try to do are very extensive and very right in your face. We don't want it to be rushed. We want you to have that information. So if you wanted to go get these books, if you wanted this information for yourself, that that'd be right there sourced for you, everything there. So yeah.
Right. And I just wanted to read this one because we found this in multiple sources, how the Assyrian language, we can find that among the Bantu people, specifically Bantu tribes that have oral history coming from Northern Kingdom, right? I want to read this in Isaiah 36. I'm going to read verse 1 so that way we can get a understanding where this is taking place. It said in verse 1 in Isaiah 36, it says, now it came to pass in the 14th year of King Hezekiah that Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came up against all the defense cities of Judah and took them. And the king of Assyria sent Rabshakeh from the Lachish to Jerusalem unto the king Hezekiah with a great army. And he stood by the conduit of the upper pool in the highway of the fuller fields. Then came forth unto him Eliakim, Hilkiah's son, which was over the house, and Shebna the scribe, and Joab, Aspah's son, the recorder, right? And Rabshakeh said unto them, Say ye now to Hezekiah, thus says the great king, the king of Assyria, what confidence is this wherein thou trusted? I say, sayest thou, but they are but vain words. I have counseled and strength for war. Now whom dost thou trust that thou rebellest against me? Lo, thou trusted in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt, whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all that trust in him. But if thou say to me, We trust in the Most High, our power, is it not he who high places and whose altar Hezekiah had taken away, and said to Judah and to Jerusalem, Ye shall worship before this altar? Now therefore give pledges, I pray thee, to my master, the king of Assyria, and I will give thee 2,000 horses, if thou be able on thy part to set riders upon them. How then wilt thou turn away the face of one captain of the least of my master's servant, and put that trust on Egypt for chariots and for horsemen? And am I now come without the Most High against this land to destroy it? The Most High said unto me, Go up against this land and destroy it. Then said Eliakim and Shebna and Joan unto Rabshakeh, Speak, I pray thee, unto thy servants in the Syrian language, for we understand it, and speak not to us in the Jews' language in the ears of the people that are on the wall. So I want to bring that out, that back then, our people, so our people, most of them only stood Syrian language as Syrian language, which is why we see a Syrian influence among the Bantu languages. So that's a key witness to itself.
Facts. Facts. Yeah, man. And then like, what I want to do is get more into the linguistics as this channel grows. We're gonna bring out, of course, scriptural, historical references, but we will be touching on linguistics and bringing people on to show how their tribes have bred customs. Some tribes we probably already covered, but you'll be getting firsthand accounts from continental Africans, be it there in the diaspora now or still on the continent, where we're gonna be talking with them. So we got things in the works, definitely.
Right.
Y'all got anything else y'all want to bring out, or?
Yeah, my bad, brother. I had to answer a phone call, but I just wanted to say I really enjoyed the information these brothers brought out. If you did not watch it, please rerun it from the beginning. The brother Kefi, I did a good job. The brother Tuchuk, did a great job at bringing out this information. And if anyone has any questions or anything, please feel free to drop them in the chat real quick, and we'll try our best to answer them. And I'm just going to read off some of the comments real quick before we get out of here. So the brother Dorf L says several other instances of passing and offering around the head before sacrificing it have been found among Ibibio or Ibabio. In some cases, this is done with fowls, which calls to mind that among the Talmud Jews of Poland, on the day preceding the Day of Atonement, a cock is swung round the head of each male and a hen round the head of each female, and then killed and eaten as continued in an extraordinary or explanatory offering to redeem the sinner from death. All right. And he says that's amongst the BBO people. And we actually have somebody in the building real quick if they want to ask any questions, anything. So I'm gonna bring them up and let them ask questions real quick if they have any. Shalom, brother.
Shalom, bro.
Shalom. I think you just read the post that I put in, that particular reference Will, I sent that to you. I send you a lot of stuff, so just
Yes, sure. Yes, that's a good source right there, brother.
yeah. But the interesting thing is about that is it's with the chickens, since they like to say we like chickens so much.
Right.
And I had a source, and it was on the Zulu book, but I ain't want to like make the slide too long. But I got a source where they were found eating a lot of birds or fowls, poultry. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful source. I read that myself too when I was studying, because I come from the Ibibio tribe, and a lot of things that what I'm starting to find out now is that a lot of things that were deemed witchcraft by the European colonists and by our people that have been indoctrinated by the European mindset, that viewed that these ancient practices are witchcraft, a lot of them goes back to Torah, goes back to the Bible.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. That a lot of the stuff that they're even the word voodoo, that doesn't mean what they're telling us it means. It actually means something totally different than what they're trying to tell us it means. So it seems everything is so mixed up with other stuff. It's really I'm seeing where it's very difficult if you're not led by the Ruach to be able to really, separate stuff, because everybody was so mixed up. See, that's something else people fail to realize. Is like you was reading in one of your sources. You had different tribes, different groups of people. Black and white have been mixing ever since the white gene per se, the pale gene came into existence, which they say is 8,000 BC, is late or later, like 3,500 BC. So they give a range of when that genetic defect took place. I tend to go with the 3,500 more so, because that pushes it closer to the false timeline that they give you in Genesis, saying 4,004 BC. So this is where they try to insert themselves into the timeline by being to that closer to that date.
Con, I just got back. I had to answer a phone call. What were you all speaking on?
Basically, the how a lot of customs being mixed up with the indigenous people, really, and how Europeans trying to insert themselves in the timeline, trying to make themselves fit in, with the scriptures.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah, because genetically the Calavian Sephora puts the genetic defect of that gene about 3,500 BC. They push it as far as 8,000 BC, but I tend to believe it's more closer to the 3,500 BC, which pushes you around that 4,004 BC date, what they try to say is when Adam showed up. So
What specific gene are you referring to?
the genetic defect of the pale skin gene.
Yes, okay, I got you. All right.
Yeah. Did you see that I did send you also? I was able to get a hand on the healing in the homeland, and I did send you a link so you could have the full PDF. Will.
Yes, brother, I did get that, and I very do. I appreciate it very much.
Oh, no problem.
Yes. So let me see what we have in the comment section real quick. If you all want to answer some of these comments. The sister said this is good stuff. Thank you for tuning in, sis.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
The brother Zoe said, man, this brother said he don't agree with DNA because many of us get the same results, and it been disproved by science. We all get the same results because we all was snatched from the same locations.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
Right.
say. Like, yeah, I mean, like, I don't think that would that would probably prove DNA more than
Yeah, it'll prove it even more in who we are as a people.
right.
Facts. And I don't know about the part about science or DNA being disproved by scientists, because that's what they use, DNA. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they
like a
use
form of science.
right. They use it in crime scenes. They use it if you don't know if this child is yours. You go straight to the genetic clinic and you get that swab. You want to see if that child is yours. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm not trying to be like most people say, but brother, you might have you might be paying child support right now. I'm not trying to say that you are because I don't know you, but there's a high probability if you have a child, you more than likely aren't with that woman that you had it with, and you paying child support. Like they said, this is one of the way they've proven that you have to pay child support is by DNA.
right.
facts. Next person says, good presentation. Thank you
Yeah,
Appreciate
as
appreciate
you.
well.
appreciate it.
Then they ask, what do you guys think about the Hebrew language?
Well, if you're referring to modern Hebrew, I would say it's a similar or a bite off. I guess I'm just be blunt. A bite off of the ancient Hebrew languages. What I think of the Hebrew language in itself is various dialects. A whole
Yeah.
lot of dialects. I mean, it's probably one of the more you know yes, I mean, you got to think about it. If we're going to say like the Bantu languages are ancient, oh my bad. If we're going to say that the Bantu languages are dialects of ancient Hebrew, we're talking about just that alone is a lot. Then you bring in the Niger Congo, which shows like the Eves and uh, the Igbos and the BBOs. Like we can go and we could keep naming tribes off that would show Hebraic linguistic similarities. I mean, so it in itself is just proof that it's very present in the sub-Saharan Africa and Africa in the totality.
Right. And even the symbols, the ancient symbols that our people used to communicate with each other. Like for example, the Nasibiti writing that you can find in Nigeria that the ancient Igbos and Ibibios used to communicate among various tribes, even spreading throughout Cameroon. Though the Nasibiti writing itself is very similar to the Ndikra symbol that you can find in Ghana, and it just shows that it's very similar when it comes to like the symbols, but you can also see how it's different when it just proves even more that it's Hebrew based but has different dialects. It's very similar, but at the same time you can see variations of different dialects among these symbols, how they communicate with each other. But I'm pretty sure someone who was very fluent in the Nasibiti language could very understand the Ndikra symbol in Ghana.
Yeah, I consider all languages dialects of the original language, because if you look at if you do any study uh, about linguistics, all languages is borrowing from another language. So every language would have borrowed from the original language. One scholar, his name is escaping me right now, but he does place around 100,000 years ago that the Niger Congo languages would have been the area where language actually began and developed. So, and uh, I did mention previously before that that Catherine Okonolo in her book uh, Eden and Sumer on the Niger, she does mention that a lot of the Niger Congo languages, a lot of the similarities did find its way into Ireland. So the Irish language has a lot of similarities in their language with the Niger Congo languages. So I consider all languages basically dialects of the original language.
Right, right. And to piggyback what off the brother just said, well, what all the brothers just said in regards to the Hebrew language, I think we all can agree that modern Hebrew is not exactly the same as ancient Hebrew, but you know, it is similarities and things like that. So if you was to look at it like this, I do believe that, you know, Bantu tribes, Niger Congo tribes, they do speak um dialects of Hebrew, but I do not believe that it's 100% Hebrew, like people like to say sometimes. So if you can imagine a group of Israelites or a camp of Israelites coming into Africa after an exile, they will be speaking Hebrew more than likely. They go down into Egypt, start mingling with people. They go down into Ethiopia, start mingling with people. They migrate west across the Sahara into Western Africa, start mingling with people. That language would still be Hebrew or stem from Hebrew. It'll just pick up different dialects, different phrases, and different things or aspects into that language. So, if that answers your question a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that point. Because we can actually look into certain Bantu tribes and we can see borrowed words from I don't remember what type of Greek, but Greek nonetheless. I can't remember what Greek it was. But
Greek and Latin.
yeah, but it was a certain type of Greek. But either way, it was from Greek. So we can see borrowed words from there. We can see borrowed words from Egypt. Um,
Are you
and it's
talking
just
about Coney Greek?
I don't. Yeah, because that's common Greek. So yeah, let's just say that because I think that's what it is because that's common Greek.
Right.
And so we can see that spoke amongst the Bantu. If we even look at Alexander's rule, he didn't rule parts of Central and South Africa. So if these people were indigenous to that area, how would they pick up that influence? They had to migrate there, you know, or they had to some type of way come in contact with those speaking when they called it the what Hellenistic period, and they called it the lingua franca was the Greek. Um, so yeah, basically, I agree with you that it wouldn't be 100% because of the borrowed words that we picked up during a mixing and mingling with other people, and so yeah, I agree with it wouldn't be 100% Hebrew.
And
Well,
if you think about it even more, most of our migrations were mostly male bias, and especially the Bantu expansion, we was coming in with males causing havoc and taking people's women, and we know that um the children are mostly raised by the women. The women teach them how to talk. They get the language, the cusses, and everything. So that's even another way how the original Hebrew language or the father language could have became diluted just from um them mixing with the different mothers and things.
It makes a lot of sense.
right.
Right.
If I don't know if you guys have seen the young lady, she does about the Igbo language. She does a lot of the comparisons. Some her name is Sefri something. I can't remember her name exactly, but
Are you talking
actually, if
Serum?
you look at what's that?
Serum?
Yeah, there you go, serum. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
um,
the Ewe language. That's my teacher.
yeah,
She teaches. Yeah.
yeah. But that's what I'm saying. That we see in even un, we see in the modern Hebrew versus the Evi language that even with the names and things, they don't have. You get more information from the Evi than you do from the modern Hebrew. As far as definitions are concerned, especially with names of the people, and it's like when she did. I got a book where it actually talks about Isaac's name. It actually means, we thinking it means laughter. No, it actually means the one that gets the gift, not laughter. So, that makes more sense because he was the promised seed instead of, something to laugh about. So
Right.
it didn't render sense. It wasn't sensible how they try to tell us in the modern Hebrew what it means versus the Eve meaning.
Right. And so,
Right.
and it's crazy. I got FA class right after this. But just to allude to, and piggyback off what you said, that's all facts. I'll just bring one example out. So we believe that King David, his name is David. This is what we believe. But David, if we go into the Ewe language or the V, we go into it, that's not a name but a title. And the title it's like, okay, here, say my name is Andre, right? If I have a son and I name him Andre, he's AJ, or he's known as Junior. So the V is another way of saying Junior. So David's name was not David; his name was Jesse. He was the younger, so he was the younger Jesse because his father's name was Jesse. And so
Right.
these are the secrets that we were saying, that when you find out what it means in the Ewe language, these how the scriptures kind of open up to you. You kind of get a real meaning more than what the Strongs may provide.
Right,
So
because they say
yeah,
Abraham's name is a title as well. It's not really his name either, because they actually say the actual rendering would have been Abiyama, and that was not his name. What I'm looking at, that his actual name may have been more like Ibru, which would make more sense because remember when the guy came back, he called him Ibru or Hebrew, which is a variation still of where you get Eve from. So it makes more sense to me that that would have been really his name more so than the Abraham title that they gave him.
facts. And as I grow, I'll be bringing out more about that Ewe language because it's a very interesting language, man. And it's very strong. And I mean, like you can, it's one of those. If you can read the Bible in Ewe, you can figure out some stuff that the Strongs may not provide. But yeah,
Facts. That's deep. Okay, so let's see. Try to answer some more of these questions. So the brother right here says, wasn't people saying chicken is unclean?
yeah, I've heard it. I've heard it.
Yeah, I heard of that
You
too.
know, I you know, it's you know, it's a lot of things I've heard amongst the Israelite community. I'll say this: if it's is we don't like every tribe I've looked into, kind of when I look into their traditional meals, where they may refrain from everything else that's unclean according to Leviticus 11, they have chicken. So I mean we have to look back to the
Look at my
culture.
screen. Go ahead.
We have to look back to the culture if we want to get back to the heritage. We I wouldn't I wouldn't say it myself from looking at it. Even the people who refrain from pork, they refrain from this and that, and uh, they still have chicken in their meals. I think that's a point to make. So I wouldn't consider it unclean myself.
Con,
Well,
and if it
Now,
is, it's
I think one
go ahead.
reason why there's a prohibition against pork is because if you see how pigs live, homosexuality is high amongst pigs, believe it or not. They hump each other all the time. They have sex with each other. So I think that's not only one, I think that's one of the main, not only as far as the diseases are concerned as well with them, but that was one of the main reasons why there's a big prohibition against pigs because they hump each other. They sexual deviants in the animal kingdom.
that's disgusting. And they don't sweat too, so they don't. All that toxin stays within them.
Facts. And I just wanted to bring this up since we on the topic. It's very interesting because we found out that the first people to actually eat chicken would have been Jews or Israelites. So other people that had chickens and things like that in ancient cultures prior to this would have been just using them to fight. And what's interesting as well is that during the Bantu migration, they also carried certain chickens that was not native to Africa, like before they migrated in or before they migrated into the localities they were found. Chicken was not in East Africa. Chicken was not in South Africa or West Africa. It was brought in by these Bantu peoples. So that's very interesting that we see the first people to eat chickens were Israelites, and then we see chickens migrating into Africa with Bantus.
They
Right.
had a chicken-like animal. They call it. See, that's something we have to start catching ourselves. It's not Guinea, because when you actually look at the pronunciation, now it's supposed to be Genoa. Genoa, Guinea is Genoa, just like Italy and Genoa. You know, these are fascinating things when you actually look it up and you start finding out the actual names of these places where they've actually, will either take a letter away or take several letters away, or they add them. It's just like when you look at Chad. Okay, if you look at Chad, you add the A in front of it, you get a cod. So did they just drop a letter to throw us off so we don't actually catch that may be the area, one of the biblical areas? So some of the things we have to pay attention, because they're slick like that on how they try to deceive us on these locations. But the guinea fowl is something that they had, or the Genoa fowl is something that was, I tried to eat them. They don't taste very well though.
That's
Right,
interesting.
right.
That's very
They,
interesting.
That's interesting because and especially about the Akkad and Chad. I never even, when you said that, I got to go look into it just because of my curiosity now. So that was interesting though.
Yeah, check out also, you have the desert of Seth. Right above the desert of Seth, you have the desert of Zu. Zu would be another form to say Jew. See, so these are little things that they tinker with, and we miss things. You see, so why is the desert of Seth located in Africa, but we try to move the location thousands of miles away, which doesn't make sense? I was in the military. You can't have supply. Some of these places, when they trying to tell you that these people travel thousands of miles to have wars, you can't have no supply line. You have to look at the people that you have to, not only the supplies, the food, the animals, the medics, all these other groups that you need in order to take care of a force that, 1,000-man force. What you're gonna need, 4,000 people to take care of 1,000 men, okay, or more. We have to, a lot of this stuff doesn't make sense, and we need to reevaluate them.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a lot of things we gotta reevaluate and really anoint our eyes with eyesight so we can see these things that that's been hidden from us for many years. So I definitely agree.
all
It's
right.
like
So
it's
go
a
ahead.
map. It's a map that I found. The troglodyte location, okay, it's an ancient map of Africa, or the motherland. I like to say. I don't like to call it Africa no more, because they didn't really call it that one name in the first place. But motherland, it was a area called Troglodyte that's near the Red Sea. Now we have to remember, when we're reading history, we find that the tribe of Esau inhabited the area of the coastland of the Red Sea. So, okay, so if they're inhabiting the land or the area of the coastland of the Red Sea, which was the troglodyte land. So a lot of this stuff, it's another scholar that I found. I said to you, Will, the person, oh, and she puts the Horite group, more so, was just another name for the group of Esau. So they weren't different people; they were the same people. So a lot, like I said, a lot of stuff is needs to be reevaluated. I can't remember the particular scholar's name, but I did send you that information. Um, and I actually caught on to her from Zion Lex. He had in one of his presentation, he did mention her, and I started looking at a few of her other works, and it was just mind blowing.
Indeed, indeed, it is. It is. So let's see if does anybody have any last questions, anything in the chat, and even up here, does anyone have any final thoughts or anything?
Just a beautiful build all together, Um, I'm over here just brainstorming what we're gonna do next. I mean, we could go into more trials, or we could switch it up and make a part 3 later. So I'm just over here just thinking about the direction of the next, if we're gonna start another series maybe, or if we're just gonna do a random lesson, But it's been beautiful today so far. Yeah, if anybody got questions, if anybody want to come up and make a comment on anything, and it don't have to be a question pertaining to what we brought out today. If it's we want to stick with the Bible, linguistics. Oh yeah, okay. It says, I'm sure you guys know where the word Hebrew comes from, but do you guys know that what Hebrew means? So the thing about it is, before I even finish the last part, oh yeah, you said it's a powerful meaning. So the thing about it, the word Hebrew and other African languages, if you want to talk about who we consider Israelites and what we consider forms of dialects of Hebrew, they don't use the word Hebrew. So it's if we're going to use their term, if it's Ewe, that would be what Hebrew would be to the Ewe tribe in Ghana. It's a couple other pronunciations I can't think of at this moment concerning the Bantu, but we're going to have to use their term. And if we're going to use their term, that then from that term will then be translated into Hebrew, then we'll have to figure out what that means in their language. So it's not probably a all around same definition, because Hebrew is not the root word. That's the word we get from, if that makes any sense.
But see, there's a lot of things that if we take the time to listen, because a lot of the times if we listen, the words will speak to us, but they try to tell us they mean something different. But if the words speak to us, it's just like the word, just for example, see. When you actually look it up, the word see, SEE, and the etymology online, you look it up, it tells you see means behold the throne. So that's quite interesting that word SEE, when we look it up, the etymology of it, it means behold the throne. So if we just listen to the word Evi, we can hear ever in there. We can hear everyone in there. So a lot of times we just need to listen and don't pay attention to people trying to tell you you can't hear, because your hearing is what's important. So sometimes we need to drown out other people's voices and listen to the inner voice that speaks to us for ourselves.
Agreed.
But I think I seen the brother, if he's still in here, if you can go to his other comment, he said it meant fear. Is that what he said it? And yeah, he says one of my elders taught me it means fear. And what language? Because you mentioned different tribes and what it meant. What language did it mean fear? If you could put that down in the chat.
He said one of my elders. Hopefully it's not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right, exactly. So because I just wanted to know what African language did it mean fear in the word Hebrew, or whatever variation or whatever. It was any more. I seen that on my phone. I can't. Is it a way I could see the comments from YouTube on here, like on the computer? Because I had to get on my phone to see them.
It should be a comment section to the right if you're looking from StreamYard. It should be. If not, you'll just have to go to
Oh,
YouTube.
okay. Man, it said private. Okay, I'm here now. Okay, he said Kev Nas. Oh, Evo.
Oh, he say Ebo, so I might have to verify that myself.
Yeah, well, I mean, when people say that the word Ebo itself,
Is Ebo.
it would be that would be the trans. That was what would translate into Hebrew.
Yeah,
So
I think I did read that, but that's going by the wrong,
yeah,
interpretation of it. They didn't use the Evi. If they used the Evi, you wouldn't get that. But if you use Hebrew, yeah, you get that in Igbo. You get fear in Igbo. That's why I think I read that where they said that's why they don't use that word because it's wrong. It's wrong. It's not right. But everybody uses it anyways, So
I don't even think the Ebos ever refer to themselves as Hebrews. Anyways, they always say like Ebo.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that source. That one you gave me out the Afik book. They referred to the Afik when they came in. It was a different variation than Hebrew, but basically alluding to them being Hebrews.
Is that Bluetooth?
Yeah, it's
Bluetooth. Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's the word Ebo. Like, that's I don't think that's but
Right, I see what you're saying because the Ebo is called the Efik,
but
Ebrutu.
yeah,
Right.
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
right. So yeah, I'm gonna look into that though, and see what the actual, term would be. I'm still learning Ebo as well as Eve right now. That's my two focal languages right now. So yeah, that was an interesting question though. That's why I wanted to address that. If anybody else got some more questions. Oh, like fear as in reverence. Okay. That I like that. That could mean because it's actually an Eve is actually the word Eve actually is the father's is basically the children of the father, basically, and so if it's saying and reverence instead of like because fear could mean reverence, like I say, fear the most high, what I mean, respect, and all of that. So yeah, in that context, I could actually see that, with some depth to that. So yeah, I'm looking to that. Appreciate that.
All right, thank you. So again, we're gonna give you about one more minute. If you have any questions, any final questions, please go ahead and drop them in. If not, y'all willing, we will see you all back next Shabbat. Thank you for tuning in and interacting with us more this time, and even getting the brother to come up here and join. So it was a good live.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
All praises.
Yeah, that's what the Strong say. He says Hebrew is derived from Eber, meaning to cross over or to pass through. So you can say like Abraham crossed over the Euphrates. You know what I'm saying? Things like that.
Yeah. A lot of it's a lot of different meanings when you start looking into that. But that is one of the meanings, like you said, according to the Strongs and everything. It is one of the meanings and everything. We got somebody new, or that's the same brother? Because I know he dropped off for a minute. That's the same brother.
Oh yeah, that's the same, brother.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, family.
Yeah,
But
I'm in a power outage right now.
you want to say any
I'm
final
experiencing a
words?
power outage right now.
Man.
Would you like to say any final
Yeah,
words?
I'm in the middle.
Bill?
I'm in the
Yeah, my God. Ooh, he going through it.
You stuck in the matrix, brother.
Yeah, brother, you breaking up real quick. We just gonna go ahead and end it. Brother Dorville, I might be live again tomorrow, so you can tune in there if I go live. But again, we thank you all for tuning in, family, and enjoy the rest of your Shabbat.
Peace, peace, peace.
Yeah, peace to everyone. I pray everyone has a blessed Shabbat. May the Most High continue to bless us with wisdom and understanding so we continue to grow in the faith, strengthen our foundation. Yeah, this as our channel grows, wisdom will grow as well, and this word will be spread out.
I go to Food Line every Wednesday for the hot sales.
I shop when inspiration hits.
Yeah, it was a good lesson today. And next week, or yeah, hopefully y'all will. Next week is going to be even better.
Facts. Shalom, sis. Peace.
Right, shalom to everybody. And we're going to be
Yeah.
I know me and
Can y'all hear me
Tuchuku is
now,
going
or am I still breaking up?
You good now, brother?
yeah. But I was saying that
Okay, yeah, I'm going through a power outage right now, and I guess everybody on their phones right now in the area.
right.
Go ahead.
I was saying that me and the brother Tuchuku, we're gonna be because we do Bible breakdowns on IG, Instagram Live. We're gonna start transitioning that to this channel as well. So our channel is gonna be very diverse. We just want these last couple of lessons now. We just want to get the foundation laid out about recognizing our people back home in Africa, because here in America in the diaspora, there's a huge disconnect when it comes to our people back home. So once we get that foundation laid down, and so our people can have, just the base knowledge of our brothers and sisters back in the continent, we're also going to be bringing out Bible lessons, breaking down certain scriptures, biblical prophecies, and all that stuff. Northern Kingdom, Southern Kingdom, all that. So this channel, as it continues to grow, we're going to be more diverse when it comes to, our lessons, what we bring out. So just make sure that, y'all subscribe, so that way, you won't miss out on any lessons. Because the more we grow, the more diverse things are going to get. And it's going to be very edifying for those that been in the truth for years, but hasn't really grown. Because, it's a lot of weird doctrines going around. Or for those that are new to the truth, that, want a solid foundation. Highly encourage y'all to subscribe and, grow with us as our channel continues to grow.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask if you was gonna bring that question up. Can we actually bring it up on screen? Because I'm gonna be dishonest if I did or if I didn't.
Let's bring it up. I'll bring it up real quick.
Yeah, just real quick, because I seen it come through and I was like, let me see what it's. Yeah, I just wanted to see.
All right, 1 second. Let me pull it up.
I don't got class for another hour, so I mean, not saying we got to keep it going that long, but
yeah.
Have you guys ever broke down Genesis 1:26?
All right, Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. It says, "And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth."
okay. So I mean, in a general aspect, man was supposed to, like it says, have dominion over all of these things. Things went wrong. Of course, we understand that. I think, and I might be wrong, but I think you maybe wanted us to focus on the create man in our image. And a lot of people, they have their different understanding on what that is. Because it's and that's why I kind of figured it was this, but I didn't know. I believe that we are made in His image, and so I think scriptures allude to that. People will be like, "Well, what is that?" And then get into skin tones and all of that. But yeah, as far as and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the fowl of the air and over the cattle and over all of the earth and over every creeping thing upon earth. I believe that that was a normal way for things to be. I don't think that's where it's at right now, because the righteous is not even in
ruling.
Yeah, in ruling. So it's not even there now. This is the normal state. I don't really think it needs to be broke down too much, except if we're focusing on that man. Let us make man in our image, which I see a lot of rooms about and all of that. I don't really get caught up into all that. I have my belief. My belief is that we are made in His image. I'm not going to say original man as far as the first. I'm saying that the chosen. But as far as where he's talking about right here, that man that was made would have been in His image, and we are descendants of that. That's what I take it as. If y'all got any other breakdown to it, y'all could.
Yeah, it's not really much of a breakdown. The challenge just is that first little part, but everything after that is pretty explanatory. You can look at it like the brother said, the physical way of us being made within this image, but you can also look at it as a spiritual way as well, because an image is just more than what you look like. It's your whole like physical makeup, your mind, your state of being. So that's just another way to look at it.
Right.
I think his next question was, who did you say was us? I'm guessing. I don't really know who you are. When I say us, I was saying that us as not the original but chosen. I was talking about the Israelites.
I think.
Well, go ahead.
No, I was about to say I think he talking about when it says let us.
Let us. As far as who is the us?
Oh, that's the Messiah.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I would have understanding that the people who create, or the us, in terms of, it would have been a hierarchy. So it'd have been what's like the father and son. That's how I look at us in that
Right,
aspect.
or like the host of heaven, I guess you can say.
Yeah, or that, right, exactly. So
We also see that in was it First John when it says in the beginning was the Word, and the Word
yes,
was with the Most High. We all know the Word is the Messiah. So
yes,
when Yah spoke, He was speaking the Word, which was the Messiah. And then all throughout the Old Testament, we can see the Messiah dealing with the Israelites all throughout the Old Testament.
yeah, that the angel, and that's just that's more of a it's crazy I'll be having to say it, but it's more of a doctrinal understanding. Some people, they don't subscribe to that understanding, and that's fine too. But that's how I see it, and I believe the brothers see it. So yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
Ooh. I say we just got someone else to come up real quick. Shalom, brother.
I can't even see.
Shalom, shalom.
I can't see either.
Yeah, it's that question in the way, but
Shalom, brother.
okay. I see you, brother.
You can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hold on, let me mute though. Yeah, cause it's kind of hard to like ask the questions through text. It just gets a bit overwhelming, so I had to like jump on real quick. If that's fine with you guys.
You said what gets overwhelming?
I said it's kind of like hard to ask questions through text.
Oh, okay, got you. I got you. Yeah, you can
So
go
that's
ahead.
why. But I didn't really catch the last part. You guys were saying that the us is the Messiah, basically.
Yeah.
Towards our understanding.
You see, it kind of gets problematic because they don't like he doesn't. Let's say the Most High does not refer to like use that verbatim like later on throughout the Bible.
Well,
Would it?
I think man would have already been made at that time throughout the Bible. So that us maybe not, needed to be, reiterated if man was already made.
Right, and I just want to ask you a quick question. Would it be a
Yeah.
problem if they said host of heaven opposed to Yeshua?
What do you mean? Would it be a problem?
Or will it make more sense, or will it not be a problem? Because you said that would be a problem with them saying that it was Yeshua. Would it make more sense for you if it was just the host of heaven that was the us?
Do you mean? I mean, like I don't like. What do you mean by a host of heaven?
Like the angels and those in heaven.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay,
those
okay.
in the yeah, that's the host. Like you have a like when you go to eat at a restaurant, your party is and that'd be your host right there.
Oh, okay. I see what you. So you're trying to say that us is like some angels or some.
Those who would be in the heavenly realm. So, like the brother
Right,
said,
right,
it,
right,
it
right.
possibly could have been Yeshua. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I see what you're saying.
So yeah, like the term angel just means messenger. Messenger means sending a message. The
Right.
message would be the word. The word was with the Most High from the beginning.
Right.
It's not like a hard breakdown.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I mean, from the stuff I've heard that one before. I've heard like some other stuff, but yeah, that's I've heard. Yeah, I've heard that before. That it's like us, like it's not like I guess people get confused because when they say let us make, so people will jump and be like, wait, how can the Most High make men with like a partner? That's what people say, but I don't think it's the verb is. I think it's more like when you're like, let's just say you're cooking or something, and then you're like, yeah, let's cook this. Obviously you're not like, if you're like with like maybe 3 or 4 people, they're not cooking as well, but you're saying let's cook. I don't know if that makes sense.
I mean, and that's situational. It could be let's cook because one of them chops and the other one,
Right.
whatever.
Or
So
if
it's
you're like,
that's
okay, let's
situational.
fly to Miami, you're not really flying the plane. You're just part of, like, you're in the plane just going to Miami. You're not really flying, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Or
I
let's
mean,
let's drive to DC. Only one person is driving.
well, that's not necessarily the case either because people take time to drive, and I just came off a road trip not too long ago. But I get what you're saying. You know, I get what you're saying. I don't necessarily subscribe to that understanding. I think the understanding that it was heavenly beings with the Most High from the beginning would probably, make sense since we see them there in the beginning. So
And I don't believe it's a need to say let us, make them in our image if it's not more than one entity present.
Right.
Interesting.
If that makes sense to you.
If it's not more than one entity, yeah, 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 that makes sense. But I'm
Not
saying,
saying that
well,
all the entities are the same, but
I get what you're saying, but I'm saying, like, when people say that, it makes, like, not saying necessarily you guys, right? It makes other people, I guess, think about it as when you're saying is more than one entity being there, they're thinking that means more than one entity is contributing to
that's like
making.
that's almost like any other kingdom. I mean, you actually gotta look at it where if you got a king, and he needs to do something, most likely he's telling someone to do it, but he's the one that's inferring that it gets done. Uh, so it's just, the task was, and it's let's do this. And usually he's, standing behind. Let's look at it as like the White House. That's what I'm picturing in my mind. I don't know why, but the president is telling us, let's do this. And his host will complete the mission. The president himself is not actually doing the groundwork, I guess you can say. So if that, we can clearly see that's follow throughout the Bible, but I don't know if that makes sense for you.
It makes a bit more sense, but when you say it like that, that would mean that if the president, let's just say, is saying let's do this, the let's just say the House or the Congress is doing it, he's not actually doing it. So that means that when the Most High is saying let's make men, no, that means that he's not really actually doing anything. He's just giving the order.
Right, right. So we take into the account that the Most High is the creator of all, creator of everything. So he himself would have created those other entities or other or those angels perhaps. So even if he didn't, even if he did just make the command for them to make it, it still would stem back to him and his power, because he are the ones who created those people in the first place, if that makes sense.
It makes sense, but okay, so well, it makes sense, but when you read like from the beginning, right, of the whole chapter, it see the way the style that is written in, if that's the case, at least it would like allude that there's like other entities being there. It
Well,
doesn't allude to that.
it does do that if you're reading it, and even let's just say the modern Hebrew, because the word Elohim, that's who's talked about.
Right.
So it's already alluding to multiple entities right there.
I'm saying like it doesn't allude to multiple entities like basically contributing.
The word Elohim is where it says like God. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what I'm trying to say. So where you
I
see
guess
God is the word Elohim.
I cannot. Maybe let me phrase this question. Okay, so like, okay, I got it. Okay, so when you're reading from chapter 1, right, it would never say let's make animals, let's make fish. It will never say let's.
I get it. I get what you're saying,
Yeah,
but all right,
exactly.
let's go to the top real quick. I'm about to show you
Right.
exactly, right? So it says in the beginning, it says God. So in the beginning, Elohim. This is multiple entities. It's not saying in the beginning God said, let's create the heavens and the earth. It's saying that the multiple entities right here created the heaven and the earth. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that. But I'm saying if the writer in that statement you're making is consistent, right? It would be like let's make let's make the fish, let's not let and all the way to the point of creating men, if you get what I'm saying.
I get that it could. That doesn't mean it had to. That's what I'm trying to get at. It could have been like in the beginning, God
Like
said,
it's I'm sorry, like what I mean is like it's not gonna be by chance that like it's not just like randomly that it didn't say let's all the way to 26. You get what I'm saying? Like the
I get
writer of like the style and the writer of that from 1 to 26 did not use that word, that emphasis all the way till 26.
okay. So what is your
Meaning,
understanding of it? Let me just from 1 to 26, what's your understanding of it?
I mean, like from what I like I'm saying, the best, honestly, the best explanation that I've come across was like like I was saying, probably is the like a verb, like the verb is like someone saying let's cook or let's drive, but it's not everybody driving, just one person driving.
So your understanding is one person driving, and
That's
Genesis
right.
1 and
But
26.
if sorry, what?
And Genesis 1 and 26 is just one person driving, correct?
Like one being
Yes, that's
is,
what.
it's like
Yes,
you saying, hey guys, like you telling us all of us on the chat, right? You're like, hey guys, let's drive to like DC
I,
this weekend.
I get
But
you.
not
So
all of us are gonna be driving, just you gonna be driving. But it's still written as like let's drive.
Okay.
that was one explanation that I was that made sense, and then sorry, the other explanation was it's a bit complicated. I have like we will have to read it all together from the beginning. So
Okay. So your understanding that it's one person in verse 26, correct?
yeah, one being.
Okay. That's
Is
fair.
it your understanding that it's one being that's completing the action, or it's um
Yes,
so it's one being completing the action, but multiple entities
surrounded by.
there.
Sorry,
Okay,
say that again.
surrounded by multiple or other entities or lesser
Right.
entities, opposed to the entities doing the work.
They
No,
just
my understanding is one being surrounded by other entities, but they're not like really
They not doing no work.
interfering.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, I wanted to just see you guys' point of view because
I
it's
mean, I think my point of view was more in just the word Elohim and what it meant. But of course, if if you believe that, that's fine. I mean, that's fine.
she
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think and that's like again that word us, and it don't really change too much because, like I said in the first verse, it literally say in the beginning Elohim created the heaven and earth, and so Elohim, if we look into that, what it say?
Right.
She said us wasn't even used. Uh, I mean, she can show it and demonstrate that us is not in the thing. Then sure, but from what I've seen, that and when you translate it, it is us.
You saying this us in the Hebrew? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't feel like digging into if that's what y'all feel like digging into.
No, no, I'm not. Like I'm not
Bro.
really
I'm
like.
just trying to get understanding because I mean me myself, this yeah.
Nah, you like basically I'm not trying to like how can I say, I'm not trying to like impose something. I'm trying to like hear different views or ideas so I can get more now. That's basically what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to like
Well,
impose my ideas.
let me ask
But
you. I get what you're trying to say, but let me just ask you so I can get understanding. Also, what is God in verse 1? What does that word in the Hebrew mean to you?
and verse 1,
Yeah, what is that word in the Hebrew where because we know it
like
was
you want to,
translated to the word God. So what does that word mean to you? It's Elohim. That's what it says. So what does that mean to you?
it's like it's the creator. It's the create nothing really, the creator is not really one.
The
Like
Creator is
he's
not one.
yeah, he's not like really nothing. Like you can be one, but you're made up of multiple things. That's what I'm trying to say.
Is he made up of those multiple things, or did he create those multiple things?
Yeah.
He's made up of multiple things himself.
Got you.
Like everything is one. Even you can say like one human being. One human being is not just one. One human being is made up of multiple parts, multiple cells, even cells. Nothing really is actually absolutely one. Like everything's made up of multiple things.
All right. So let me ask you one question real quick.
Yeah,
So were humans created or not?
yeah. Humans were created.
Who created humans?
The Most High. Yeah,
And who created the Most High?
he's uncreated.
So how does he have multiple parts in him?
I don't believe in the Trinity. What do you mean multiple parts? Like
No, no,
you
no,
know,
don't. Yeah, just
like
yeah.
like soul. Like we have a soul. We have like multiple. That doesn't mean you're like the Most High has multiple. Basically, like he's made of multiple things. Like he's multiple things.
What
Can
are you trying to say he's omnipresent, or are you trying to like? Because I'm
Even that is
yeah. I mean, I
is a
believe he's omnipresent. I
right.
believe that.
Even that is a demonstration that he's
But
He
that's
can
not
be
multiple
anything.
things. That means that's one being who's multi. I mean, that's omnipresent. It's not
Exactly.
saying that
He's
he's
everywhere. He's like,
but you wording it, and that's where I'm getting confused. That you're saying that
okay,
Yeah.
he's
so
multiple
do you
parts.
believe the Most High is the Messiah?
I do
Is
not
the same
believe that.
person?
I do not believe that.
Do you believe that Jesus or Yeshua is the same as the he's like part of the Most High?
What do you mean by a part of?
Like, I'm not trying to, because I don't believe the Trinity. So
I am not my father, but I am
right,
a part of my father because I
That's
came from my
right.
father.
That's the whole Yeshua.
exactly,
Right.
That's the whole relationship.
exactly. So like,
So
do you
that
think that?
doesn't.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead because I was just saying. What I was agreeing with what the brother just brought out, that you and your father could be one, but you all aren't the same person. You all are just a collective body.
Right.
So you can
I
go
could.
ahead. What you were saying?
Yeah, no, I agree with it. Like, so what do you guys the word what do you guys think when you see the word Elohim?
Multiple entities.
Multiple entities.
Yes, it's not saying they are all on the same level. We know that it is one creator, one most high. We understand that. We're saying that it's multiple. That's why in the Bible it say the Lord of hosts. And this is what we're witnessing in the first verse of the Bible, that this is multiple beings right here. And it's the most high plus company and a party of whatever. This is what we're witnessing right here in the first
Do you
verse.
guys know that the Elo and Elohim has a like a feminine connotation?
I don't want to get into all that, but I just
I'm
want to
just asking. Just
um
not really to get
I'm
into it.
not too studied on the modern Hebrew right now. I
Okay.
won't I won't or the biblical Hebrew, let me say that. Um
Yeah, I get what you mean.
I touch on it with certain
Mm-hmm.
things, but as far as very very in depth, I can't say I am.
Because okay, so if I suggest you like look, sorry, I'm a little bit like sick, but I suggest you look like at that, like try to look it up because it was that Elo and Elohim has that connotation, as a feminine connotation, which is also trying to show you that like that Elohim word is not just a masculine word, like it has a feminine and a masculine, like that one being has a feminine and also a masculine connotation in that word. Like if you just, I'm sure you guys like research and read books and all that. If you do that, you'll see.
So, what's your understanding? Are you getting that the female? I mean, the Most High is both female and male. Is that what you're trying to say?
Of course, he has to be. He has to be an androgynous being.
Okay.
So like the Baphomet.
No, not like that. Not like somebody would like body parts of a female. I'm saying an androgynous being, meaning has both I don't want to say like characteristics because people are gonna think about like body parts and stuff like that, but like has to be, even the first human being made had to be androgynous
Could it not?
if you really reading carefully.
So you okay?
So Adam had
Next.
both feminine and masculine
Yeah,
characteristics in him.
yeah, because they took out feminine, they took out they took something from him, right, to make that female. They took out those characteristics, they took out something out of him. He had to be androgynous at
Could it
first.
not? Could it not just be masculine and I mean male and female traits that he has or possesses,
Would you
opposed
say?
to? Could it not just be masculine traits and also feminine traits that he possesses, opposed to
Yeah,
him being having male and female parts, or whatever you had
Not
said.
female parts. I'm saying traits, just like you're saying traits.
Okay, so I got something different because when I didn't hear I because from what I believe what you saying that he has feminine traits, that would be sides of love or sides of kindness or forgiveness. That's what I get from the sense of
But that
that
could be a
being.
masculine trait as well.
You said that it could be a masculine trait as well.
Love and forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what let's all right, so I'm gonna just say this. All right. So I get what you're saying. Just to piggyback off of what Will just said, according to the scriptures, don't know what you subscribe to. The man is supposed to love the woman, and the woman is supposed to respect the man. This is what the scriptures get to. So if we wanted to even put sexuality on those traits, if that was the case, that would be a male trait that he listed. But just to, I'm trying to understand what you mean by female traits, because you mentioned it, like you said. What female traits did Adam hold that will make him, quote unquote, like the word you use, and androgynous? Like what would be the traits that he held, and do you have scripture to like go with that?
I mean, from when you read, right? I guess it's a long thing to break down. Like I can't really. You gotta like be reading it from the beginning, honestly, to really see the picture. But when you read and you break down, like what happened and how basically Adam was put to sleep and everything, you know, you know why like the animals were brought forward. Do
Okay.
you think Adam named the animals?
Okay. Yeah.
Let me just to maybe that this will make you understand it. Maybe do you think Adam named those animals?
Um, I think that's what the Bible said.
It's
Do you have a different understanding?
yeah. So okay, he didn't really name like the animals. You know, like how they say like okay in Hebrew, right before the children are born, they have they're like their names already chosen.
Are you referring to a scripture right now?
I'm just saying in general. I don't have a scripture in my head, but
So
like
are you so like okay, so it seems like you're referencing something and you're expecting me to know that something, but
no, I'm not really expecting you to know. If you don't know about it, it's fine. But I'm just
how
saying,
do
for
okay,
example,
well, how do you know?
I studied that part, but I don't remember the actual scripture in my head. I didn't really
So okay, so it
prepare
is
to
in the
remember.
Bible what you're referring to.
Yeah. Like
Okay.
their names. Like you ever okay? Even some African tribes, right?
Mm,
There's like names like when a child is born. There's some tribes that wait like 8 days
yeah,
and look at the characteristics
right.
and then name the child,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So right. So basically, from my understanding, is so the animals, right? He's just analyzing their characteristics. Basically, the names of the animals are already through on from the characteristics of the animals.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right,
Okay.
right. This is what I'm trying to say.
So you're
So
saying that the animals had a naming ceremony, basically.
sorry, what?
You're saying that the animals had a naming ceremony.
No. I'm
That's
saying
that's
that.
literally
Well,
that's literally what they
I
do.
guess
They wait to
if
see
you
the
put it that way.
characteristics. Yeah, they
Sorry,
wait to
what?
see the characteristics of the human, and then they name it from thence, even if
Like
they're just
so,
born or if
like
they.
it, and sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
Mhm. No, I was just saying, like, it's from the time, like, if it's the newborn, yeah, let's say they wait the 8 days, and
Right.
like you said, there's characteristics, they'll wait and they'll name it after that. If it was that they were let's say like right now, if we return back home to Nigeria, Ghana, any of the places we were took from, and we had a naming ceremony within the tribe, they wait and see the characteristics of the person and they name them within, I've heard, 8 days. Also could, that could vary because we're grown and we got things to do. But yeah, the point is the observation. That's correct. So you're saying that they had naming ceremonies, the animals.
Like basically the animal, like if you like, let's just say for example, like in the airway, right? That like the animals, literally the name of the animals, it literally depicts the characteristic of the animal.
Right. Okay.
So basically, he's like looking at the animals, and whatever name has been given basically to the animal is really relating to the characteristic of that animal.
So who named them though? Was it the characteristics or was it Adam?
The characteristics basically like name. It's like, okay, it's like somebody comes in front of you and is nervous, and you're like, that person is nervous, but that like that animal was already made before those like Adam was there. Basically, that animal already had that characteristic. You get what I'm
So
saying?
the
But
animal
it but it but it didn't have the name before it was given.
The
It just had
characteristic gave the name. That what I'm trying to say
Exactly.
is no,
Exactly.
the characteristic did not give the name. The characteristic was an observation that Adam
Exactly.
made. And if that's the case, Adam named him based off of the characteristic, not the characteristic giving
Exactly. But
the animal the
so the
name.
animal had that characteristic, right? To
Okay,
lead
so this
Adam
is
to.
okay. So the understanding will be that based off of the characteristic, Adam named the animal.
Yeah, yeah, I
right.
get this is not even the point I'm trying to make. So basically the point I'm trying to make, right? So at that verse, when he basically is like going through the animals, and he tells basically like he tells the Most High like, nah, none of them, he's not content with none of them. And then he's put to sleep, and then something is taken away from his body, right? To create. And that time it's not the verb use is not, it's not create, it's to make. So it's like making, using something else, not creating from scratch, like making from materials that are already like from another, from a part of Adam. Basically he's making the female from a part of Adam, and then when Adam wakes up, he's like, he accepts the female companion, because the verse is very like important. He's like, this is bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. So something taken out of Adam.
Yeah, that's what the Bible says.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's what I mean. That's what I mean by like, okay, Adam was an androgynous being at first.
yeah. Okay. If that's what you, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you kind of understand what
I
I'm
mean,
saying about that.
I don't. I was following you up until that point, but yeah, I understand that. Yes, something was taken out of Adam, and it made who we call today Eve. Um,
The animals are not like, I guess the animals are not brought in front. That verse is kind of confusing in English. The animals are not brought in front of Adam for him really to name them. Is the animals are brought forth for him to have a companion, basically.
okay.
Not
Got
as in like to sleep with the animal or whatever. I'm saying like to have a companion. Like, okay, you good. You have, so he's trying to pick from them.
He was
And
trying to
he's like,
pick who he was going to be with. I get you.
yeah, who's like the companion basically. And he's
And
like not
none of
really.
them was fit. So he
Right,
would go to
right,
sleep.
right. That's
Okay.
what's going on, basically.
I, I got you.
Gotcha.
Not yet.
Understood.
It's hard to explain, but like it's better when we read it through. But it'll take a long time, basically, to
It's
really.
fine. I think I got your I got your point.
Right,
Yeah,
right. So
brother.
they're brought forth to Adam, and he's like, nah, not this one. Like I can't see myself just being with this. And then then the Most High is like, okay, nothing's gonna work. Okay, I'm gonna put him to sleep. Then I'm gonna use something out of him to make another being that he's gonna be, content with. Then when he wakes up, He's like, yes, this being. Then he explains why. He's like, because it's flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone. Like it's something that comes out of me. I can relate to. But that's what's going on basically.
Wow. So Adam had better judgment than the Most High. Cool.
Not better
Yeah.
judgment.
I
No,
mean,
he
bro,
got a
if the
choice.
most you're
I'm
literally
confused,
telling us,
bro.
that the Most High was ordaining Adam to pick from animals to have a companion with, but
Yeah.
Adam decided, nah, it needed to be
Okay.
flesh of my flesh and bone of my bone.
Right.
Like, yo, so the
Let me
Most
ask you a
High,
question.
yo,
What in the world?
Let me ask you a question, if I can.
Go ahead, bro.
can you make it the last kind of question, maybe?
Sure, sure. Let me ask. So, why do you think the snake was trying to, I guess, trick Eve?
It wasn't a real snake.
Yeah, no, was it a real? Let's ask. Was it a real snake?
Remember, all the animals back then could talk.
Yeah. So was it a real snake? Um,
What do you think it was?
I'm asking, like, no, because I need to have you. You mentioned the snake, so I'm just needing to know: was it a real snake?
Of course, it had to be a snake.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
not a real snake, as in a snake that we see today. It
So
could
what?
have it could have been a different form of animal back then, but
So it was a
that's
form
what.
of an animal.
Yeah, of course.
So something in the form of not a human, correct?
Right.
Okay. All right.
But not
Um.
as in term of a snake that we think like
Okay.
today, like a snake.
I don't know if we can build on this point because I don't think we all are decisive and agreement on how you perceive the scripture. If you want to give your understanding of it, you know, you could do
No,
that.
like, so what do you think? Why do you think there's like, so what you think is just a metaphor, basically? Is this what you think?
Yes. Yeah, I think it's used as a term of the characteristics, if you want to say.
So all the previous animals that were brought forth are real animals, basically. All the previous animals
Well,
that
if we go into the book of
Adam,
Revelation, we can clearly see that that serpent that's talked about is not like a real serpent or the
but that's
dragon.
we're all the way in the Revelations. I'm just talking about from then on. You gotta think about
It's the same. Okay.
It's the
you
same
gotta think
You're
serpent.
about
not
okay, there's
okay.
like you
I
gotta
don't
think
know
about
if
what the
we
sorry. Go ahead.
I'm trying to really build with you on this, but if you're not like okay, let me ask you this right quick. What do you subscribe to? Do you subscribe to the New Testament?
Yeah, I subscribe to the New Testament, the Old Testament, the whole thing,
Okay.
the whole Bible.
What we're saying, and I'm just literally just say this, that serpent is talked about in Genesis is same is the same serpent that's talked about in
So
Revelations. It's the same serpent.
okay, so the verse is okay. Here's my question. So the animals that are brought forth in front to Adam, are they real animals or not?
Yes, because they literally got on the ark. But I want to say
No, no,
something
no.
because
Adam,
I
Adam,
don't think I
Adam,
made
not Noah.
the animals. Those are the animals that got on the ark. What you like?
No,
You
no,
think
no,
they
no,
would?
no.
No, listen. I'm not saying okay. Their descendants got on the ark. If that
No,
makes
that's
it
not what
better.
I'm asking. You don't understand what I'm asking.
You're saying those animals that were brought in front of Adam.
Yeah, and that
I'm saying
verse
that
at that
those.
moment.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Right.
They were brought. I mean, how else would he had seen them to be able to see their characteristics? If that's what
Right.
you even say, if he
Right.
wasn't in front of them. So what I'm saying is those same animals, those descendants were on the ark. That's what I'm telling you.
Those same animals. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying
Okay. What I am saying is the characteristics that called that being a serpent in Genesis is the same characteristics that were held in Revelation. You get what I mean?
yeah, I get what you mean.
So
But
yeah, that's my understanding of the serpent.
What
And it
I'm trying to
wasn't
say is
a
that
real snake.
it's kind of like it's not consistent. Basically, you're saying that the snake is not a real snake, basically, right? But then you're saying the other animals that were brought in front of Adam are real animals, but the snake is a metaphor, even though the snake is
Those
literally
animals did not talk to Noah.
because the emphasis on the animal. That's what I'm saying. The emphasis on the animal is it's really this, like, it really connects the whole story. Like the emphasis on, like, it describes how the snake was
All
smarter
right.
than the other animals.
Okay. So look, let's do this.
Right.
The animals in the time of Noah, were they humans?
No. And
Were
the
they animals?
animals?
The animals that got on the ark, the animals.
No.
Were they
They're not human.
humans?
No.
They were or they were?
No, we're not.
Okay. So the animals that were in front of Adam, were they humans?
No.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, they wasn't talking. In both cases they weren't talking, but the serpent
So
was talking.
you're trying to say that if an animal talks, that means it's human?
Man.
All right,
Because
brother.
Yeah,
there's
All right,
many
all right.
animals that
I
talk
don't know
today.
what else to. I
There's
don't know what
birds
else.
that talk. There are birds that talk.
Hey, brother. Yeah, you want to continue to
I mean,
or you
I
want to,
I
because
think we
you
could
know you
just.
got your class, bro.
Yeah.
I'm a probably send y'all some stuff. I don't know if I'm gonna try to send you something,
Okay.
Yeah,
because it's
man.
kind of
Just
hard to I guess go. It's like I'm saying, we will have to read it, like, literally from verse 1 all the way probably to, like,
Yeah, in context, which I thought I
right.
thought we over here did. I thought that was our strong suit, kind of reading things in context. But you got it though, brother.
No problem, no problem. I'm honestly not even like trying to debate or anything like that. I'm just
It's just
exchanging. What's up?
yeah, no, it's good.
yeah, man. Appreciate your for building with us. Just reach out to us on social media or whatever. But again, man, we about to get ready and wrap it up. And everyone enjoy their Shabbat. Thank you for tuning in. For everyone that's still here,
Appreciate it.
and that'll be tuning in later, man. So again, thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
All right, so I'm gonna get ready and wrap it up then. All right. Anybody else got anything else to say?
Much love to y'all.
All right, shalom, family.
Who's to tell you that the Most High ain't gonna forgive you for what you done did? And that's another thing where we overstep the boundaries of doing His job. How can we do His job and we ain't done our job? It don't make no sense. So I think as brothers and sisters, Ox and Akwas, we should be more encouraging to each other. Friendships and marriages as well. You could tell somebody, oh, don't do this, don't do that. Oh, I leave them. But then again, you in the same situation and you burn it. If you're not a weed, he gon' tear you apart. So be careful what you say, can mix light in the dark. A wise man slow to speak, but he still will at heart. A wise man slow to anger, refraining from dark. Now, I don't want no Grammy, now I got kingdom at heart. Now, I done lied so much times, I got holes in my heart. Yeah, I done cried so much times, I get headaches from coughs. And I done died so much times, I perish at the thought. Pride is a way of evil, don't settle for sin. So put your pride to the side, let it blow on the wind. So keep your eyes on the prize, you gon' soar it again. So keep your eyes on the side, you can surf through the sin. Everybody doubted you, they gon' cheer when you win. Everybody shot at you, they gon' cheer for the win. Everybody laughed at you, you was running from sin. Everybody doubted you, they ain't trusting a friend. Everybody young and dumb, but who changing their life? Everybody put in work, but who sacrifice? Everybody waking up, but who living their life? If you ain't rocking with the God, you ain't living it right. Oh, you ain't living it right. If you ain't rocking with your home, ain't living it right. If you ain't rocking with the God, ain't living it right. If you ain't rocking with your God, ain't living it right. Oh, yeah. If you not a weed, he gon' tear you apart. So be careful what you say, can't mix light in the dark. A wise man slow to speak, but he still a lot heart. A wise man slow to anger, refraining from dark. I don't want no Grammy now, I got kingdom at heart. I don't lie so much times, I got holes in my heart. And I done cried so much times, I get headaches from coughs. And I done died so much times, I perish at the thought. I'm a young man, now I'm a young king, and I got big dreams. The kingdom on me, the kingdom is within, cause I'm so golden. The spirit is within, they were all on me, they were all on me. Now I'm a free brew, I say I'm set apart, my mind is set apart, my people set apart, his people set apart. The evil's in the dark, the light outshines the dark. If you're not a weed, they gon' tear you apart. So be careful what you say, can't mix light in the dark. A wise man, so to speak, but he's still a lot heart. A wise man, so to anger, refraining from dark. I don't want no Grammy now, I got kingdom at heart. I done lied so much times, I got holes in my heart. I done cried so much times, I get headaches and coughs. And I done died so much times, I perish at the thought. Yeah. Oh, I need.
The gang leader, formerly known as A-Train, continues to maintain his innocence despite